Hello, everybody, and welcome to another day of the LCS Challengers League qualifiers. It's day 4 of the group stage, and another day where we'll be promoting some teams into the quarterfinals and sending some teams home. I am Grapes, joined alongside Alk Battery. We've got coverage here on twitch.tv/RallyCry2 of the games in Group D. We've got Miracle, Lit, Blue Water, Apex. It's gonna be a fun day.
Yeah, we got a lot of fun games. We were we were actually covering this group last weekend, and I think we got a really cool set of games from all of these teams. So hopefully, when we look at our upper bracket, that we're going to be getting some of those higher level games, and in the bottom, I want to see these two fight for their lives, man, because I don't think we got that in some of their games.
The CB gaming didn't go too well for them.
No,
Yesterday, is that what
no.
you're saying?
I was a little sad. There was a lot of doing nothing, and I wish that they had just woken up. It was early. We talked to Chad earlier that day, and he was like, I've been playing at 12 for my entire career, so I'm not getting up at 10." And I was like, "Thanks, man."
Hey, get the game 1 buffer. It happened last week. Maybe Mirage Alliance. Get the second block next time around when we play
Mirage
the
Alliance,
quarterfinals
there
on
you go.
Sunday. But let's take a look at how we got here. If you are joining us for the first time here in the NACL qualifiers, it is an open process to qualify and to enter. We have another tournament coming up in about 3 weeks. So if you're a team of Challenger Grandmaster players looking to make the pro dream come true, make sure to sign up to that. The qualifier selection committee will then seed all the top 32 teams, and they participated in the Swiss bracket, which happened a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and when we look at this Swiss, it was kind of hectic. I think the selection committee seeded it decently. We only had one upset come into the top 16, and that was the 17 seed in CB Gaming. So, hey, you guys did a great job. The magic number was 3. We got to see a lot of great teams. I think to our expectation, we had teams fall within the bounds of what we wanted. We had a Mirage Alliance as the first seed. They ended 5-0. We had our top 6 basically all relatively land around 4 wins. So that was pretty cool. Once we did that, we get into our group stage, which is where we are now, and split into 4 groups. This is going to be a GSL style bracket. The big change from last split is the fact that we have a reward for coming first in your group. So it's not, hey, I'm going first in my group, and my first matchup is Maryville. You have 10 additional points for coming first. So at least at the end of the entire summer split, you can say, I got these additional points, and maybe they have an effect on your ability to qualify for the promotion tournament.
Yeah, and both of these top 2 seeds will make it into our knockout stage. We can take a quick look at that right now. A reminder that we are covering Group D. So actually it provides a lot of interesting scenarios here because Group A 1 seed, that's Mirage Alliance. Whoever loses this first game versus Lit and Miracle might be in a bit of a tough spot once they get into the top 8. We can take a look at now how the point system works. Alk Battery, you mentioned this kind of while we were talking about the group stage, but you also get points for every elimination bracket stage that you win, as well as the Swiss.
Yep. It's 5 points. Currently, the points are not going to be incredibly relevant. Obviously, you want to be playing in both qualifiers in a split to make sure that you can get as many points as possible. It is 4 teams making it with the most amount of points. It doesn't say it here on the graphic, but if you win the second qualifier, you immediately get into the LCS Challengers League promotion tournament. You were the first seed coming in from the qualifiers, which is such an important change. I feel really bad for Rock Bottom last split. It's like, hey guys, sorry, we made this change because of you. This is the Rock Bottom rule coming in. So we wanted to, reward that. This is a culmination of all of the play from not only this split, but next split. So make sure that if you are playing currently, if you've already been knocked out, unfortunately, keep going, keep grinding, try to make the rise, because we've seen teams make it all the way from literally just playing a single last split and making it to finals.
Yeah, there's a very high incentive to signing up and playing for this next qualifier. So if you are, again, an interested team, make sure to go check out RallyCry when that announcement ends up coming through. A reminder that we also have a $12,500 prize pool for every qualifier.
Yeah.
So the winner will earn half of that, which is a nice chunk of cash, as well as, of course, the 100 qualifier points as on top of, finishing top in your group, as well as winning your Swiss games.
Yeah, it turns out winning equals good money. I know that might be new for a lot of Tier 3 players getting that amount of money. It feels nice. And obviously, it only happens if you make it into the elimination stage. So you need to be winning at least 2 rounds of your group stage to make sure that you actually can get some of that money.
Yeah, going to be very important, as that could be the difference maker with some of the games that we're going to be watching here today. But after we have gone through all the rules, it is going to be important to get into the matchups that we have here today. Let's take a look at the
Woo!
bracket for our Group D, the games that we will be covering here on this stream, twitch.tv/RallyCry2. If you want Group C, which features teams like Cheese Chasers and Team Ambition, you can head on over to Rally Cry Official or NACL LCS_Challengers for the first series of that. Cheese Chasers versus TA should be a good one, but we got to focus on the teams that we have here. We got 5 out of the 6 total games last week, and I think we might see a bit of a similar case here today.
Yeah, when we look at Lit and Miracle, I think Lit obviously had a much easier time taking them down. There was that game too that looked like we were going to go to 6 games. It was a bit worrisome, but they closed it out, and hopefully now they've kind of settled into their ways. They maybe sharpened up some of their laning phase. I'm looking forward to what the bot lane here for Lit Esports actually is able to put forth. Miracle, a team that I still don't know how to read. I know game 1 I was incredibly excited, and then coming out it was like, oh, game 2, game 3, there was some question marks. We almost saw Apex Mission Impossible do the impossible and take a massive upset, move on to the upper bracket. That bottom, the lower bracket game that we're going to be streaming afterwards, that one is so much more important. I would love to see our first seed come out of this group, but I am looking forward to see whether or not Blue Otter and Apex Mission Impossible are going to really push each other to say, hey, look, we fell up against the upper seeded teams. Maybe we can come back with something new, especially Apex, who I thought had some interesting, kind of picks that they put forward into their drafts.
Yeah, both Blue Water and Apex have some new players that I think honestly impressed a decent amount, at least in some of the matchups that we saw last week. But we have our upper bracket matchup first. The winner, once again, not only advances to the quarterfinals early, but earns those 10 additional qualification points. Let's start off with Lit Esports and their roster, as they are on the blue side to start game number 1. They have Dragoon, Kisno, Messages, Sajid, and Chaye. Sajid had a really good series, at least in the late game in their last week of games. The laning phase is something that we're going to have to take a look at here for this game.
Wow, it's funny. All the marksman champions are getting pentas, but maybe not necessarily players. Sajid got one last week. Doxa got one yesterday up against Winthrop. That was awesome. But hey, Sajid, the laning phase, we kind of talked to him last week, and he was like, with them and Chaye, it seems like they finally are kind of getting into a groove. They don't necessarily need to speak about all of the laning phase stuff. We do need to see them actually kind of level that up, as we want to see them potentially. We have them seeded as the number 4 seed. We have them coming in as the team that will be able to qualify into the promotion tournament. There's no Maryville here anymore. So with this squad, with what looks to be some upgrades across the board coming out of the promotion tournament from last split, I'm looking forward to what we can get from these guys.
I feel like a lot of them have impressed both last split and now coming into 2023 summer. And so a win against Miracle would definitely mean a lot for them. And we can take a look at the lineup that they are going to be running today, because there are a couple of adjustments here. We got Leica Moz coming in for the mid lane position this time around, adding on top of players like LJX and Lawrence, who have been part of the Harrisburg University squad. Rovex is not going to be playing mid lane this time around.
Wow. Okay. Leica Moz has not been playing for a little bit. This feels like, hey, LJX, you used to play on Harrisburg. Let's try to grab some other Harrisburg players. Grab some. You have Lawrence as well, who's also been playing on that roster. So excited to see what we get from Leica Moz. I think it's been a while since we've been able to actually catch any competitive odds, but with the performance that City Witty put up last week, and I think while LJX still is kind of struggling with the role, at least when they put him on AD, I think this could be an interesting matchup still between these two.
Yeah, should be good. Moz, of course, has his brother Izo down in the lower part of this group as well. So maybe the potential for a rematch there if Miracle aren't able to win this one. But we can head into the draft for game number 1. Once again, Lit Esports on the blue side if they did select that as the higher seed. And I'm very excited to see what we get here in this draft, because we have to reiterate that City Witty and LJX.
Yeah,
I see that coming in.
I need to ask you guys, please get it to LCS order, because it always trips me up. It always trips us up. I wish that they would just kind of. I guess you would just have to declare your intent before the game, and you want to give them that correct. I love that this is one of our only teams that is able to do that. It used to be more prevalent with how champions, when champion diversity was at a much higher rate than it is right now. I'm a little sad, but it means that Miracle is always really fun to watch when we have whether or not City is actually going to be in the jungle or he's going to be playing in the bottom lane. Bans wise, this looks pretty focused towards having City Witty not have any fun this game.
Not fun in the jungle, no fun in the AD carry role either with that Draven taken off the board. The only game that we have seen City play in jungle was on Kindred for the summer split. So that is immediately maybe ruling that situation out. Also, the Karthus is taken off the board. So they just really don't want City to be playing any of his signature picks in the jungle for game number 1 at least.
They're making sure to stay tapped in on City Witty LOL Twitter and just make sure that like, hey, what is he? Oh, is he tweeting about Karthus? Get that out of here.
No
we
Karthus,
can't have any of that. Kindred? Nope.
So Draven game? Nope, not that either. So it's just all, I mean, LGX maybe could play the Draven, but he's been more comfortable on things like the Zerion and the Aphelios throughout his time on Team Liquid first. So that is what I would expect to come through for him. For Lit, though, they're going to be locking in that Cassante on B1. I don't know about what you saw over on Rally Cry Official yesterday, but we saw Cassante get banned on red side in almost every single game.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. My first reaction is probably negative. But Cassante is just a really powerful flex. If red side, if you are going to be banning it, it is kind of going to be eating up one of those. And there's so many OPs right now. There's a really popular copy pasta going around for this champion, so not super surprised to see it be taken away. And I like what it leaves up for Lit because you have Dragoon who can pilot this champion and messages, so gives them a lot of flexibility when you now see from Miracle going for the Jax topside and at Aphelios, some pretty strong laners out from them.
Yeah, LJX and City have both played this Aphelios throughout this 2023 season, so they're still leaving that flexibility up. The Jax is definitely something that is traditionally played into the Cassante. I think the first game of LCS this split was a Jax versus Cassante matchup between Fudge and Tenacity, actually. So that is kind of been around since the champion has been released. And we're going to get the standard bot lanes to round out our first rotation. Zeri, Yuumi, and then the Aphelios Lulu. You seem very happy about this.
I'm fine with it. I just know people complain about it all the time. People are really not happy about having to watch another Zeri Yuumi game, and fair enough to them. We've seen 6.5 months of this champion combinations in the bottom lane. That hasn't been the best. Now here for Miracle, you have strong bottom lanes. We're obviously setting up to play around our 3-item AD carry, so around the 20-25 minute mark, we should be expecting these two. And it feels about right. You talked about how LGX has been feeling really comfortable on stuff like the Aphelios. I thought maybe you would see a Varus this at least one of these games, especially if Sajid and Chaye are going to be going as greedy as they have been. They picked up the Kog'Maw Milio last week. And like, if you're going to play Zeri Yuumi, you could go for something like that to try to poke them out. For both of these teams, though, they're kind of looking for really strong junglers, and the pool is getting pinched incredibly fast here. Wukong, I don't know about you, but Wukong seems to have dropped out of favor for a lot of junglers recently.
We saw it a couple times, but it was mostly when the champion pools have been pinched, and they have been pinched right now here in this game, specifically the Maokai and the Vi both taken off the board here in the second phase. So maybe we see LJX pick that up. I remember he played it last week on Miracle, but no, it will be the Sejuani getting locked in, right, likely towards the jungle, and we see LJX on the icons there having his smite up. So I think that we're going to be seeing City pilot the Aphelios this game.
Okay. So City wants to play a little bit of Aphelios. Hey, it comes with the territory of being a 4-role challenger player. Just insane stuff. Always glad to see that City is kind of flexing a lot of those muscles and still is able to play jungle at a really high level in competitive. It's just a treat to watch. Here for Lit, I think grabbing the Viego for Kisno is about as standard as you can get. Seems like that Cassante is going to be heading towards the top side, so counter pick here for Leica Maz. I think when you have a new player coming in and subbing in for a player like Rovex, you are going to have that kind of situation where you probably prefer red side and you want to make sure that you're giving them the ability to find the best matchup possible. Miracle's team comp is literally like, go as late as humanly possible and try not to lose the game in 15 minutes.
And it'll largely be on Kisno on the Viego alongside messages already to make sure that that doesn't happen and that they can snowball to a later stage, because the Orianna lock-in is the icing on top of the cake here in this Miracle draft. It's definitely a staple for Maw's champion pool and makes sense that it comes in. I am surprised that the Shiv LeBlanc went through the entire draft without being picked or banned, but that's the situation that we have come to here in this first game.
Don't worry, both of these champions can still buy Shiv. Orianna in solo queue has a disgusting win rate with this item. It is literally an abomination of champion design. So love static Shiv. Thank you, Riot Games. So we're stuck in a situation now where you have actually really cool possibility for both of these teams where Orianna with a static Shiv can actually battle out Ari in a side lane when we get to that later stage of the game around that 25-minute mark. When you're sitting there with static Shiv, you can do that. You have Ari's or the Orianna's auto attack passive, so she's actually a very potent duelist in that sense. And come the late game, Orianna will be able to control so much space, and that can be said across the board for Miracle. I'm just worried that Lit will be able to very easily push onto the bottom side. You have mid lane as well, where Ari will just, hey, press 2 buttons, walk out of the lane. I want to see how they link up with Kisno so they can really put the pressure onto Miracle.
Yeah, I think the mid jungle is something that I think that a lot of people were probably excited about with this Lit team coming in as some younger players that both succeeded over on Supernova and Native in the spring split, and now have the opportunity to do some really good stuff, because I think overall Messages had a relatively quiet performance last week. It was mostly Sajid and Chai as well as Dragoon up in the top lane putting up some big performances for this team, and now in a situation where you're up against a sub mid laner on a champion that you're very comfortable on, I want to see Messages have a really good series here today.
Exactly. I think it's just fair when we see teams and we want them to perform really well to our expectations, that we want to be able to kind of see how flexible they can be, like how many good carry performances can we get out of each and every player on the team. And Messages, unfortunately for our mid laners, mid lane is just not a carry role right now. You have Annie, you have Ari, you have LeBlanc who is playing static shift, so there's a bit of a skew towards the other half. But the majority of the split, the majority of the season, it has been, how can we set up our team? How can I set up my bot lane for success? And while Messages, I think, is playing about as aggressively as I want him to on some of his champions, I think I am still lacking that ability for him to say, hey, Kisno, we're going to walk in enemy jungle. We're going to take over control of this side. We're going to try to play for priority. You have a Sejuani in the enemy team, so we'll be able to clear, and the damage from Viego is not going to be incredible until a couple of items in. I think Miracle should be focusing up towards its top side, and I really want to see how Messages can kind of mess up with that game plan.
That's going to be very, very important, I think. It's a big factor here between these two teams that I feel like, for Miracle, they probably have a lot to prove for different reasons than Lit, but both want to make it to that top 4, want to make it to the promotion tournament nonetheless. Miracle, of course, a large portion of their players participating in the NACL last split over on Team Liquid first, and did not have a very good showing. They ended up getting demoted, but City and LGX still sitting around. I'm not entirely sure what the situation with Rovex really is, but for them, making it back to prove that
I
they're
think
still
it's his
worthy
hand.
would definitely be big.
He posted this the other day. I forgot about that.
Oh?
He what was it? I think he had a climbing, like he was like bouldering,
Oh god.
and he wrapped up his hand. He he made a tweet actually. He's like, "So guys, I really hope Yumi isn't banned because I have to play my DK games." And he has his bandaged hands.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. I like totally forgot about that, and I figured like, oh yeah, he'll be fine by the time we have games. And then I was like, probably not now that I think about it, because it looked pretty serious.
Well, prayers out to Rovex. Hope that he
Yep.
does well, and he comes back for the playoffs, or if they are able to make it there. And on the other side, for Lit, a lot of people that are young and have not played at that Tier 2 space wanting to make it up is going to be a very exciting matchup between these two teams. But before we get into the game, we have to thank our sponsors here, our new sponsors on the NACL Qualifiers, and that is Turo, because the NACL Qualifiers are brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace, where you can book any car you want for just about any occasion. Forget boring rental cars at Turo.com. Thank you very much to Turo for supporting the NA developmental pipeline and for helping us out over on Rally Cry. I think we're about ready to hop into game.
Woo! We have gameplay. I'm sure that Twitch chat was very, very well mannered the entire time and not asking us to start the game every time. All right, so we're now in. It looks like a standard 5-point here. City Witty taking both of our bot laners taking Cole, so don't expect for too much action to be going on. the spiciest I think this game might get is actually around our top side. Dragoon is a player who is always willing to push his limits and make sure that the enemy top laner is, paying attention at least. And
Yep.
Lawrence, we saw the first game coming out from Miracle, and that was like one of the best Jace games we've seen, not only in tier 3 but I think also like tier 2 just in like competitive so far. But after that, I think he didn't exactly have the best time in both of those last two in that last game. It was up against Apex. Geiger, I think, really took him to task. So I want to see what he can do up against this. It's a very close matchup. It's a skill matchup between these two, and I think there's no other than Lawrence and Dragoon to really show up.
Yeah, Lawrence has kind of had a hit or miss set of games overall here in the summer split so far. Some games he literally 1v9s, like the Jace game, he had an R game in the OQs that also looked really, really good. And then other times did not have the best time. And up against Dragoon, probably one of the tougher tasks that he has had so far this split. And will be an interesting showing because this is a player that has kind of been on the edge of being between tier 2 and tier 3 for a couple of years now, and showing that he's still capable of making it here in the space is always a good sign for a player like Lawrence.
Exactly. Lawrence, after there was that split around 2020, 2019, where he was on that Cloud9 roster that was joining us here in semi-pro before there was even like a, outside of the academy space. But eventually that team definitely was a little bit different. You had like Captain Shrimps, you had Wixie all the way back there. Those were awesome times for those guys, but it's been a while since we've actually seen Lawrence be able to step up onto that stage. And obviously for him, he would love to not only obviously qualify for his team, but also show off against, I think, some of the detractors that might still be out there looking for his downfall.
Just got a lot of haters or something? That I didn't know about that.
No, that Cloud9 team had a lot of haters for some reason. It was kind of weird. I want to be 100% honest. It was there was some weird stuff going on. There was like the whole Tempos thing. I don't want to really get into it, but like we had that. We had them. Eventually, the only person that actually like qualified really is actually their coach Tails, who is now one of like the assistant coaches on Cloud9. He really like went through their entire development pipeline. So that's awesome to see. We've had other people move up. Sajid and Chaye have been getting absolutely blasted in this laning phase. Oh my god, wait, he still
actually gets first blood onto Sajid. And now another gank in the mid lane as well. Miracle gonna set up messages here. Kisno making his way in to try and retaliate here. Chaye is very, very low as a Yuumi.
Yeah.
It's gonna be in a tough spot.
Level 1, Chaye took half of his HP on a single trade versus Daption and City. And then Sajid and Chaye just like go down. Like that's a free kill for them. It goes on to the Lulu, which is not the worst people to be putting it on, but yeah, this is one of the criticisms we did have for Lit Esports, is the fact that we wanted to see their bot lane level up in the laning phase. It seems like that is still a bit of an issue for them. And City and Daption are no slouches. Daption especially, he's been playing on the CLOL Championship roster over at UST, constantly playing with Shogo. They always want to be able to push the state of the game in the bottom lane, and so it seems like City Witty, same person, same kind of idea. There is no free lane for you guys. We're going to make you work for it, and you're going to be able to abuse that range advantage early on from Aphelios.
Yeah, looking pretty good. Oh, not like our screen right now, but Lit Esports struggling a little bit in the bot lane to start things off here. City Witty and Daption off to a very good start here in this game. They went for a nice reset, picked up some extra items, will be in the advantage by the time they return back to lane. But overall, pretty close game still, pretty quiet early game aside from that mid lane skirmish as the junglers both made their passes over there. As I think both these teams kind of want to wait for that late game. We want to see a little bit more out of Kisno though, as the scaling does definitely favor Miracle.
Yeah, when people usually talk about scaling, it's like, one team. It always sounds like, this one team falls off a cliff at 15 minutes. There's a lot of playmaking potential, and they still have Zeri Yuumi. We're also going to be on 13-11. We didn't really touch on that too much, but being on 13-11 for this entire tournament does mean that we're going to have a pretty standard rotation coming in. Oh, Kisno with this flash. What?
Huge flash by Kisno. Moss now in a little bit of trouble. LJX trying to take down messages here. The command attack, not enough damage to take the Ahri down. And Kisno not able to find anything either. So the second time where junglers have interacted in the mid lane without picking up a kill.
I love the patience coming out from like Amaz to not use the flash there. I think some other players would definitely jump at the bit and just immediately invest the flash, but he does not have teleport. So I was wondering if maybe messages was going to get funky with it. Did have the ultimate before Orianna, and so could have looked for something with the Spirit Rush, but wasn't exactly sure where LJX was on the map. So good play coming out from Lit. It will mean that there's no flash for Kisno, which might be a little bit more problematic, especially when all of the plays are not going your way. You are generating leads now, specifically around this bottom lane, and you're not making a lot of action happen top side. Dragoon is constantly shoving in, so they're having priority. And I think what this will mean is Lit Esports will have first say on whether or not the Rift Herald goes over to them. And Miracle should be focusing on those dragons, trying to take those away from Lit to make sure that any scaling advantage you would have had from the champions from the draft doesn't go over or equalize when we look at maybe a Dragon Soul for them.
Yeah, a little bit of a split map situation, I should say, for this first game. Lit Esports controlling the top side, Miracle controlling the bot side, and mid lane is where the main action actually has happened between the two junglers. So LJX has not gone for that first dragon yet. I do remember last week he was very adamant about securing those objectives down in the bottom half of the map. But now it is just allowing for City and Chai, City and Daption actually to just do tons of damage down onto Sajed. Half the HP with just one ability combo. And the struggles in lane here for Lit Esports is going to continue.
Yeah, this is one of the cool things when you are playing this Aphelios Zeri matchup, that if you are going to be playing it, you have such a good range advantage early on with the Calibrum, and you can really leverage that where you are still feeling the effects of that level 1. And I mean, like, he has more completed items now. Kisno's here, no flash, but just dinged over to level 6. Daption as well having his ultimate means this will be a pretty tough fight for Lit Esports. It means, hey, 3 plates for them in the bottom side, where everywhere else is going even. That's a huge lead for them.
And that's the only real advantage that any side has gotten at the situation. You know, Dragoon's up 10 CS. That doesn't mean a whole ton. It's literally just the first blood, and then the 3 turret plates that were taken here by City and Daption. All without LJX really coming down to the bot lane, because, to be honest, hasn't really needed to at all. Top side, though, as I say, Dragoon popping the ulti onto Lawrence, going to dash forward as well. Rift Herald going to be taken, but Lawrence and City and Dragoon going at it in that 1v1.
Oh, I wish I could have seen that. I was kind of interested in that. I wanted to see whether or not Lawrence was actually going to grab that. So LJX actually grabbing that means that, you know, the map is a little bit flipped. They're trying to see if they can get something done in mid so they can open this up and move straight into the bottom side. LJX with his Rift Herald recall will be able to get back and immediately move down into the bottom side. You see that City with the adaptation, they have wards, they're perfectly safe. I want to say, Lit, you got to get something done. Also, looking at some of the itemization, I don't think we're getting static shift. Did they just, like, gentleman's agreement, we're just not playing this item?
Yeah, it's the Electrocute on messages. It's the Airy on Like a Moz. Maybe they're a little bit more traditionalist on these champions, but, I mean, League personalities everywhere are going to be rejoicing over this game. No static shifts.
League personnel, they're going to be rejoicing. They're going to be so upset. I mean, look, I want them to play what's the best. And if static shiv is the best, then you just have to play it, unfortunately. That it's not their fault. It's good. You know, I can't blame the players for, oh, no, Zeri Yumi, it's too good. Stop, guys. Stop playing it. I want them to play it if they think it's going to increase their chances to win, but it seems like for Messages and Moz, they really want to focus on getting that AP to make sure that they're going to be a huge presence in team fights, and maybe shying away from some of that team fight potential that I was setting up for in the draft, moving away from that and saying, we're not going to really be playing on side, we're looking to really have an impact once we get to those 5v5s.
We saw a situation like this yesterday on our stream where an Ahri player Doxa went for an Everfrost build and really just wasn't able to do as much damage as I thought maybe would have been possible with the Shiv. And so that is something that we're going to have to keep our eyes on, how much of an impact these item changes will really have. City and Daption continuing their dominance in the bottom lane, but Kisno and LJX maybe here to try and make an impact. Looks like the Miracle bot lane figure that something could be a little bit fishy, and so they will allow Kisno to make his way over to the mid lane. I was thinking about going for that dragon fight started up as well.
Yeah, Kisno is starting it up. City is pushing in. They do not have wards as to
Oh, here
where
he goes.
Kisno is.
Oh, but
He's
LGX is
walking in
not
now.
spotted either. It's going to be a 3v3, and Lit do not know it just yet. So LGX going to be there to make sure Kisno does not impact Daption or City Witty. And once again, junglers interacting, no kills just yet, other than that first blood on the dive. Mid lane 1v1 happening here. Nice charm lands by messages. Like a Moss, tunked down about 30% HP. Dashes forward. The shockwave does connect, though, and Like a Moss gets the solo kill. Kisno does go for the response. So a 1-for-1 in the mid lane, but with that pressure, the bot lane tier 1 does go down with the Rift Herald of LJX.
So an additional 400 gold here for City Witty, and they're just going to completely abandon this dragon. They want to make sure that they can get this next wave under the turret. They do not want to have this stuck. They know that Kisno will have to respond or go to his top side, which is still a win-win. They even get a second charge out of this. So going 1-for-1 in mid, or 2-for-1 in mid, you have Kisno who then picked up that kill. This is a pretty decent trade, all things considered here, for the side of Miracle.
Yeah, they're up 2,500 gold, so I would say Miracle definitely in a good position. And at this point now, with that solo kill in the mid lane and the bot play, it's really Dragoon that's going to have to take that extra step for Lit Esports. And he's only playing the Cassante. The champion is strong. I don't know if it's strong enough to 1v9 a game, and so maybe other plays will have to be made, like here in the mid lane. Interestingly enough, Moz and Messages both did not use their flashes on that play. And so, still opportunities to make some, to do some damage, I should say, in the mid lane.
You know, Grapes, if this was any other champion, you'd be right. This is Cassante. Champion with 4,700 HP, got 300 armor, 200 magic resist. He's unstoppable, man. He has a shield, he can dash through walls, he's a 1 second cooldown, and it only costs 15 mana. He does true damage.
Read the entire copy pasta?
Yeah, his cooldown's lower when he's got more armor and magic resist, lowering cooldowns, lowering cast time, it does big damage. This champion is insane. Like, we've seen Dragoon put up numbers. We've seen him get on the board. We've seen him have really, really insane performances. That Garen game last week is single-handedly the reason why we saw Lit in this position. That's just Messages. Has ultimate. Should be able to get out. The flash from Like a Moz.
Not able to land that final command attack. It might have been enough to take the Ahri down. But Miracle really running the map so far in this early game. They have rotated City and Daption back up to the top lane because they have been continuing to get plates. Saw like 7 or 8 of them at this point, and Sajin and Chai have to make a response. They already popped the Lightning Crash. City Witty actually chunked down pretty low. Wild Growth does get proc, and Kisno is on the way as well. The Prowling Projectile does chunk City low, but he has enough peel to get away. Like a Moss on his way as well. Teleport from Messages was into the mid lane, so will not be here for this fight. Kisno lands a stun, but not any more damage. Lit Esports not able to find a kill with so many of their ultimates being blown.
City Witty as well, showing a lot of patience by not using the flash or the Gale Force in that situation, really trusting that his team would be able to peel him out of that. But this is a winning situation for Lit Esports. As you look, they got pushed in topside because of that trade, because they were able to get aggressive onto City Witty. You saw that because Orianna moved over, that now you have the mid laner here moving Ahri over and just being able to attack this turret, forcing the teleport out from Lawrence as well to match the bottom side. That was a small reprieve for the side of Lit. They've been losing some of these lane matchups. They've really not been able to get a lot of action done early, and Lawrence almost gets the solo kill.
Man, we thought that Dragoon was going to have the upper hand, but when Lawrence procs that ulti, the resistances from the all-out being lost definitely having an impact there, as they both end up having to flash on that exchange. Rift Herald now the topic of conversation. Neither top laner has that teleport to get over to the fight, so at the most, it'll be a 4v4. Miracle controlling the area, and with City and Daption being just a stronger marksman pair at this point, it means that Miracle is going to control it.
There's a mismatch in terms of allocation right now. Sajid and Chai, they stayed way too long in the top side. Didn't swap out with Messages in mid, so right now, you're just having the bot lane pick up this wave in mid lane, taking control of the whole map. I think Lit being a little slow, I think maybe being a little lazy with some of their lane allocations will turn into a Rift Herald here for the side of Miracle. So now you're looking at them, and you have 2.5 minutes before the Dragon. They can wait until this Rift Herald is ready, pop it down into mid, take control, destabilize the map for Lit so they have access to early jungle. They can move in and get vision for objective entrances. And again, we are feeling comfortable for their scaling. They have an Aphelios, you have a front-to-back team composition with this Orianna. If they are first to any play, it is so difficult for Lit to walk in if like Amaz is playing confident and standing his ground and just putting the Orianna ball in a spot that is unavoidable for Lit.
And there's a lot of good options to, facilitate that delivery system for Moz as well. Lawrence and LJX, both of his former teammates over at Harrisburg, can dash into the back line and be a real dive threat on top of the Shockwave. So that is definitely an added bonus with the composition that Miracle have set up for themselves. 5v5 is where we're going to have to look. And the Miracle, they're going to be able to do that well. They also have Lawrence on a side lane, able to split push if they want to do that. So a lot of different possibilities for Miracle. They still are up in gold and still control the momentum here in this game.
Yeah, I think it will depend a little bit on what we actually see from Lycamaz. Obviously, this is a player that is subbing in for Rovex. Again, we're going to be wishing Rovex swift recovery. But when we are looking at, Maz, when we watch Oriannas in general, specifically, sometimes I will say they will just give up the positioning on their orb. You really need to be confident that your team is going to be able to back you up, that they are in position. And we've seen Miracle have really, really good setups for objectives, for the map in general. That first game up against Apex is just the dream. Just such beautiful play with the Twisted Fate and the Jace. And I want to see them kind of stand tall with that. 30 seconds, we talked about this earlier. You set up this mid-hit lane, you take that turret, you use the Rift Tail to get another charge, and you collapse into the other side. Meanwhile, Lit, you see on the top side, Ari is just pushing away at this turret, trying to get some more gold for their team. Can teleport back in, and we're going to be looking at what Messages can do, because right now it feels like the bottom lane for Miracle versus Messages and Sajid.
Yeah, and I mean, this is not the most important dragon, so I'm not surprised to see Lit not necessarily prioritize getting there as soon as possible. They even up the count at 1. There's not a soul at risk, but Messages going to have to make use of the money that he just got there off of that tower being taken, because Sajid and Chai, they're doing all right. Sajid now has the Triforce, but need a little bit more damage from the entire composition, especially when you're up against City Witty, who has had such a good start to this game. Message is still around the top side of the map. Lawrence here to just defend his top tier 2 for a little bit longer. As we're going to continue with only 3 kills in the first 18 minutes. I feel like this is something that we saw when Miracle was playing last week as well.
Oh, trust me, it happened yesterday too. This is a remarkably slow meta right now. Unfortunately for all the teams, they are going to be on 13-11. So me and Summer got our work cut out for us. We really got a lot of setup to do and not a lot of action.
That's what it's like. You guys gotta put your analysis pants on, because I cannot help too much in that regard. I'm just here to talk about the fights and the character champions that are on my screen that have a lot of kills and have a lot of items, which is fun. But right now, looks like with my analysis, it's a pretty close game.
Yeah, there's nothing going to be happening. Graves, if there's literally anything else you want to talk about at this point, I freely welcome you to do so, because there's nothing going to be going on. We don't have another dragon for 3.5 minutes. We have Baron coming up in a minute, and I do not think that either team is really going to start it up blind. If they do, it will just be trying to simply use it as a way to get a TP out from one of the opposing sides. So while we wait for them to ping pong, there's really nothing more interesting. We will have items as we get closer to the dragon. I think we kind of touch on how close these two teams are looking. The gold is within touching distance of each other, and everybody's on parity when it comes to items.
So we can do a quick little segment called Look Around the Socials of our players. Make sure to follow all of our players on social media. I was on Rovex's Twitter just to review the situation
hand
that you
injury.
were talking about.
Okay, yeah.
There's a lot of bandages on that thing. It's like really wrapped up. So I could understand how it's difficult to play a League of Legends game competitively in that situation, and why like Amos is in here right now.
Yeah, that's a lot of gauze.
It's like 5 layers. It's like It's like wrapped and wrapped and wrapped. That must have been pretty bad.
Wait, he just said wiping with your non-dominant hand builds character. That's insane.
Only got
yeah, he had a skating incident. That's what
Twitter.
It was. It was a skating incident. Okay. Double checked. I got into the comments. I remember it was something. I think someone else brought up bouldering, and it was like, maybe not now. I don't know if we're gonna be seeing Rovex, hit a V3 right now
Not for a while.
with no with missing a hand right now.
We also saw a tweet from City Witty saying, "Ha ha ha, they're scared," right as the draft began, with the picture of all 3 of his champions being banned away, the Kindred, Draven, and the Karthus. So he seems to be doing pretty well, even without some of his pocket picks in this game.
Did you catch some of our interviews from yesterday with Chad?
I saw one clip of Chad, and I think that was about it.
Yeah, I know. That guy dropped some words we can't put on the broadcast, but we were asking him some questions, and he was talking about how playing up against Psycho, that Psycho does tend to chat a little bit. He's like an all chatter in matches, and so they put Dardoch on Yuumi so that Dardoch can be typing the whole game. And because Dardoch won't type unless you type first. If you type at him, he will get back. He'll try to, he'll bite back, but he won't initiate it. So I kind of wish that we could get the logs to see Psycho versus Dardoch, because I know Psycho can talk some good trash.
Yeah, Mirage Alliance, they make some good content. So if you guys are watching, I don't know if the Mirage Alliance socials team is watching the game between Lit and Miracle right now. They could be who scouting for their next round opponent. But if you want to post those chat logs, I'm saying I'll give it a retweet.
Yeah, exactly. A free retweet from at least at least 3 of us here on the broadcast. You're gonna make sure that Grapes will make a tweet. I'll probably just retweet it and keep it pushing. Summer will probably do the same. You'll be in good hands. You'll at least get 3 tweets and likes, which is more than I think other people can say for their Twitter posts.
Damn.
We've got 40 seconds here, Grapes. We got through the 3-minute drought of action. Like you were saying earlier for Dragons, I don't think things are going to really be happening all that much. It is the 3rd Drake. It's not like a soul for anybody. They are looking to try to make this flank. Kissno and Messages.
No, Shockwave onto 2 on the back line from Moss, so now Kissno and Messages have to escape. Teleport is coming in. Lawrence trying to join the fight. Has a Counter-Strike in the flash, but will not go for a play. But health bars chunk significantly on the Lit Esports side. Miracle have a really good position around the Baron, around the Dragon, I should say. I don't know if Lit want to contest this anymore.
I think this is actually a win for Lit. They got the teleport out from them, and they didn't use any of their summoner spells here, so the only thing missing is Kissno's ultimate and Messages as well. Still have a lot of playmaking potential, and now there's no Sejuani or Orianna ult for them to look for.
Moonlight Vigil onto Messages. Not enough damage to take him down with the additional chakrams, and now the re-engage can come through. Here comes Dragoon on the flank. They need to find City. A huge and tempo strike, and City will go down into Kissno. Now Sajed has the lightning crash popping off here in this team fight. Will pick up LJX. Lawrence going golden, trying to jump forward, pick up 1 kill, but nobody on Lit Esports will go down. A 3-for-0 for our number 4 seed.
They put so much crowd control into Dragoon, and he just said, I literally do not care, brother man. He went straight into that backline. He popped out City. That's exactly what Lit needed to be able to open this up. And they're just going to forego for the Dragon. They're just going to pick up this Baron for themselves, 5 members strong. When we talked to Sajed last week, it was, hey, Dragoon is that guy. We played around his win condition of the Garen, of the split push, and he led us to victory after a pretty dismal early game. And it feels like here and again, after a soft start to the game, Lit Esports now, they're going to get the Turbo Baron buff, and they're just going to let Sajed rip into the backline.
It's kind of been the story for Lit. They fall behind a little bit early, but once Sajed and Chai get one fight that they like, ends up going well for them. They end up taking control of this game. And so now with the Turbo Baron buff, the ability to crack open a lot of structures. They only have taken 1 turret throughout the first 24 minutes of this game. I'm sure that number is going to grow if they split the map up correctly, put their waves in the right spot. Mid-tier 1, the first target here for Lit.
So many different angles for them to go for. Overpowering through mid. They could collapse through onto the side. Dragon wasn't even taken by Miracle. And you see that Cassante on the bottom side is doing the same. 2 turrets here now for Lit Esports, and they have complete control of the map right now. Only really giving up top lane, but that lane does not matter right now. They just do not care. Lycamaz is going to trade 1, but even going for a 3rd here, and no one from the side of Miracle able to really go for anything without Lycamaz to set up for a CC, without LJX playing a little bit more proactively, fishing for an engage. It'll mean that now Lit make out like bandits with this Baron. The swing in gold is huge. It's been super even for the past 25 minutes. And with that Baron, with that team fight, with this last couple of plays, they now find themselves at about 3,500 up. And it's going to feel much worse than that because they're getting all of these buffs thanks to the Dragon, thanks to having the Baron on their side.
3,500 gold. That's kind of a huge power play, and they still have a minute and a half. That's 2 or 3 more waves with this Baron buff if they want to try to crack open some of these tier 2s. Top lane and mid lane looking relatively vulnerable, but looks like Lit want to reset and make sure that they're put in the right position to go for a good play. Items now starting to come through for our players. 2 items on Kisno, 2.5 on Sajed. If he can get that Titanic Hydra for this next fight, that is a really, really strong area, a really, really strong AD carry for Lit.
We are waiting for 3-item marksman here, as, like you're saying, Sajid getting very close to finishing that Titanic, has all of the components available to him and ready to go. City Witty, I mean, he's about 700 gold away from an LDR, and that will help him really punch through that front line, try to take down Dragoon. Do you think he is probably going to need to focus on a lot more of the survivability? And hopefully from Daption, he gets that with his second item coming in. Chaye, though, like, this guy's at full items already. Has the Imperial Mandate, got the Echoes of Helia as well. Should be able to set up for his team. We're even getting level 16 starting to come in for some of our solo laners. Messages, still a bit of a quieter game here, but it seems like that's okay with how the meta is going. You don't have to be this big, flashy mid laner to really stand out or be an important piece of your team. You just gotta be a setter. Just make sure that your team can actually make the plays, that your AD carry can let it rip in team fights. And you just see Sajid by himself with Chaya now can just walk up very freely into the bottom side jungle. And by taking this mid turret, it is so difficult for Miracle to get into their side of the jungle. They can't walk into this bottom side.
I mean, and maybe this sounds like a backhanded compliment. I promise it's not. I mean, Messages did do a good job in that last fight of just soaking up a lot of abilities that Miracle ended up throwing out. The Moonlight Vigil ended up not doing anything, and Messages went back to base after surviving, teleported back into the fight, and was able to help Lit close things out. And you know, if that's the role that you have to play as a mid laner, that so be it. Now you have the Shadow Flame alongside the Everfrost to do even more damage, and so a lot of threats on this Lit Esports roster now, as they have about 2 minutes until this Dragon spawns, 2 minutes until this Baron spawns. They have the opportunity to go for either one of them at that point. Maybe looking for a little bit more as they're continuing to pressure in onto these tier 2s.
Yeah, right now the itemization spikes are going to be looking at our mid laners here. Kisno and Sajed already finishing off theirs. Wow, City Witty immediately leaves and has the Chakram. Should be able to blow them up. Yeah.
Oh my god, City Witty just gets... Oh, just an instant kill onto Kisno. That was just a one-shot. Presses the ulti, presses the E, and it's just a dead Viego on our screen. Will not be super impactful unless Miracle can push down as 5 and get a couple of structures.
Okay, so they'll get one. City Witty was... He had the Crescendum turret up, so it was stacking Chakrams back and forth. Uses the Calumbrum ultimate to try to really reel in all of that damage and finds that pop onto Kisno. Good job from him. It alleviates some of that pressure, like we were saying. They take that mid-tier 2 to try to even up the score. And when we look at the itemizations now, I mean, Lycamaw's trying to get that Void Staff, trying to get as close to finishing it as possible a minute before this Dragon. Really going to be the items for both of these teams coming in. Sajed now getting close to that LDR as well on the opposite side. We have Messages going for what looks to be a Banshee's Veil. And Lawrence going for a team fight set up here. By taking the Zonias, really wants to be that guy that jumps in, gets the huge counter-strike, and then when they try to turn, boom, there's a big golden Jack standing in front of you waiting 2.5 seconds later. Messages trying to be on a flank here, but City Witty is putting so much pressure onto him with these turrets.
Yeah, both LGX and Messages kind of caught on the wrong side of things in that exchange. Neither of them end up going down. And Messages has the ability to regenerate here with the red buff in his hands. Dragon spawning in about 30 seconds. It would be soul point for Lit if they're able to pick it up. Cloud Soul is good on this composition. You have Zeri, you have Ahri, champions that like to move around all across the map and really value their ultimates in team fights. So definitely would expect Lit to prioritize that. Baron still an option as well. Miracle have a tough decision to make at the 30-minute mark.
Miracle, like... I think we've moved away from the Dragon. Oh, Sajid, what are you doing? Wait, no one's going in on him? Guys, get the cleanse out. What? Huh?
LJX
I do
had the
that and
ulti.
I die. LJX, brother man. Throw the ult, brother. Come on. All right, yeah, I was
Okay,
going to
well,
say, the Baron is the more important objective. Dragon Souls are not going to be a realistic thing for another 10 minutes at the very least. They have to stop LJX from getting in.
Yeah, looking for a steal. Sajid jumps over the wall again. A big ulti coming out from him and Chae. Forces the Miracle team away. Baron's at 5,000 HP. Lawrence trying to dash in,
can still get in.
onto messages. LJX still has an opportunity. Dashing over the wall, has the smite and the flash. The blast cone comes over, but it's secured by Kizno. The Moonlight Vigil is big, but the Baron power play goes in favor of Lit. Kizno dives on the backside with the Heartbreaker, picked up the first reset, and they are going to be going off in this fight. Dragoon stays alive for so long, and Lit Esports come away with a huge team fight win. The laser will send City to the ground to end this game for Lit Esports.
They just had a superior backline access. LGX was not in a position to frontline. And unfortunately for City, he did not have more of those summoner spells available to him. Daption eventually is going to be going down here. It'll be another kill. They'll grab the Baron. Lit Esports, man, they were the favorites coming into this group to make it out. They're our 4th seed in the entire tournament and performing about at that expectation. The laning phase is a little bit quiet from these guys, but they'll take it in the end.
And once again, Sajid and Chae coming up big in the late game for their team. Daption running around, doing a little bit of a quick tour of Summoner's Rift before his base ends up going down. 1-0 in favor of Lit Esports as our 4th seed is 1 match away from the quarterfinals.
Wow. Miracle. It's not unlikely that we get games like that from them, but I do want to see them step it up. You know, I don't think we missed much of this team when they do have Moz subbing in for Rovex, so I don't want to say it's a mid lane issue, but there was not enough action. I think that there was some misplays going on. I think that they really need to kind of hone in on their positioning come team fights. There's no reason that Sajid should have had cleanse for as long as you. You need to be fishing for summoner spells. Your ultimate is going to come up way sooner before that, so I want to see LJX play a little bit more aggressively, especially because you're on a tank. You have so much leniency to kind of get away with some, you know, you can get away with some stuff on a tank.
And while we did say Miracle strategy should be to scale to late game, play those long team fights out towards the end of the game, they still need to make plays a little bit more, especially against a team like Lit, who is capable of standing up to them a little bit more than the lower seeds that we've seen them face off against so far in this split. And that was a big problem for some of the players on this team when they were in the NACL just a couple of months ago. And so for Miracle, they now have their backs against the wall, need to come back and win 2 straight. Hopefully we see some more action out of them as we head into game 2. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with the draft.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car sharing marketplace. Find your drive.
Thank you once again to our sponsors at Turo. You can go to Turo.com for all of your car rental needs. As we are back here on the LCS Challengers League qualifier for our second game between Lit Esports and Miracle. Lit Esports had a pretty slow early game, but they ended up coming back and winning pretty handily in terms of those team fights. Looking forward to seeing them continue their reign, or if Miracle can try to come back with a little bit more of an active gameplay.
Hopefully. And Dragoon is still looking like the GOAT right now. Like, I love that guy. I'm so glad that I'm happy that he promoted. Sad that he's not in LCS Challengers League. And I know he was talking about, like, yeah, I'll just do it again. I want to see him actually do it again. And he looks like he's ready for it. He looks like he's done playing in tier 3 in this space and for semi-pro. He wants to make it in. He wants to be able to qualify. He wants to probably take down Supernova at least a little bit. That'd be a pretty fun, spicy storyline if we could see it at the end of the day, maybe next year at the beginning of spring. And I mean, he was the driver for this team. Every single team fight, he came in. Kasante Q3 sets up the team. Boom, they find Citywitty. The fight is over. We've been talking about all the different players, and then obviously we have Zeri Yumi having the certified Zeri Yumi moments, just like clearing the entire team. But I did want to give a big shout out to the top laner here for Lit Esports.
I mean, Supernova have been 1-1ing a lot of series. I feel like there's a chance they don't actually end up in the promotion tournament at this point. If you want to watch more of that, of course,
Sure.
NACL will be starting in a couple of hours over on LCS_Challengers. But it would be a really good thing to see Dragoon back in the promotion tournament, where he has thrived over this past year, and now on a new team with some players that he promoted with, like Kisno, Messages, also in that tournament, and Sajin and Chai, the bottom lane here. That did not end up making it out, thanks to Maryville, who ended up beating them every single time, unfortunately.
I feel like every time we talk about Lit Esports, it's like asterisk Maryville. Like they did okay. They were able to make it pretty far up into the standings, and then they played Maryville like every single time they got into playoffs. Is a little unfortunate for them. Feel bad. It's like, oh, cool, we're going against the literal best team in the qualifiers. Thumbs up.
Like
having a lot of fun with that. But there's none of that anymore. And I think it's time for them to be able to rewrite history. I will say this is a wholly new team. You're only keeping your bottom lane. You're changing out 3 players. I think this is a new team. I think this is the time for them to be able to really write a new page in the chapter of Lit Esports in North American League of Legends. And they're moving forward as a really dominant team. They only need one more game to go as the first seed to leave this group, get their additional 10 points. And that was one of the clinchers coming out of even just last split for our qualifiers, the fact that they didn't get to qualify off of points. They were so close. They were towards the top half of the bracket. They could have made it in, but unfortunately, facing Maryville so many times, they just got knocked out of the tournament so early on into the elimination stage. And now here with the new roster, I think there's some new game plans there. I think there's something there.
Should be a fun series to watch here. Hopefully we get some more competitive games, especially between these two teams here, who feel like did both impress last week in the qualifiers in their first matchups.
Yeah.
Miracle need to come back here. They have selected red sides. The sides will be staying the same. And I think the target Citywitty mentality going to stay the same for Lit here as well.
Fair enough, man. He's the best player on this team, bar none. Like he smashed every single game that we have played. Even if they don't win, he has always looked like one of the best players, if not the best player on this team. So it's fair to be getting rid of all of his champions, making sure that he's not going to be able to play. If we are in correct order, this does look like LJX will be playing jungle instead. I love that they always come into game 1 and they have their original setup of Citywitty playing jungle, because it's like, yeah, we're probably just going to play AD. And I think if a team is not paying attention, which if they haven't done prep, then probably deserve to lose, you're going to get tripped up by the flex.
And now maybe they try to switch it back, right? Have City play jungle this time around. Maybe an opportunity for them here, but will it be the exact same actually first 3 picks here in this game? The Zeri Yumi would be on the table, and it worked well for Sajin and Chai in game number 1.
I know the players are pretty vocal when they're doing drafts across all of our teams, but like, I can't imagine no one sees this and goes, "Are we running back the draft?" Like, do we think like maybe it was just an execution issue, which would be fair. We did say for Miracle, we did want to see them actually have some early plays, but Lit, they don't even want to
Oh.
play for a later game. They want to try and smash the laning phase, which would be a bit of a switch up in terms of the styles. We have not seen them really go for anything in the laning phase. And so now when you're playing the solution Nami, you are going for early spikes. You're trying to hit hard. You're trying to take priority over the bot lane by poking out City with E. We'll have to see what Miracle do in response. You have this Aphelios. You could go for the Lulu. I mean, could try to take away maybe like a Sona.
Yeah, the Nami not getting picked up here is interesting, especially because now Miracle have 2 bans to work with as well. They can ban the Sona and the Nami and maybe leave Lit in a bit of an odd spot, but it will be, once again, the Aphelios Lulu is difficult for Lucian to break through some of those shields, especially towards the mid to late game portions of this matchup. So that is something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. The early game going to be very important for Lit as we head into the second phase of bans.
Support focus here for Miracle. For Lit, I think you're really just trying to get rid of some of the bad matchups here for Ahri. She doesn't have a ton of them, but if you want to stop Miracle from having plays, just get rid of stuff like the Annie, get rid of stuff like, I'm trying to you could get rid of the Orianna if you really want to. Syndra, something that I'm really thinking of as would be pretty detrimental to what Lit actually want to accomplish. Miracle, with the champions that they have, do go late, and for Lit, they can stomp early game. We can see Ahri play that bit of a flex. They just want to continue banning out City, or banning out LJX, taking away all of the champions available for them. It's an okay strategy. I think this is fine.
He had the Vi, he has the Wukong, the Sejuani came through in the last game, so that probably are the 3 picks that we're looking at for LJX. More supportive, facilitating role on Miracle. And if that is the case, as we said after the end of that first game, want to see him be a little bit more active in the early game. Make sure that his lanes get ahead. Looks like the Sona will still be available here for late if they want to take it, as that Viego gets taken away from Kizno instead.
Alrighty. Getting rid of that. Also getting rid of the Victor here for like a Maz, which would have definitely been good. Similar to that, Syndra does provide a lot of area control, similar to that Orianna that we saw in game 1. Now for Miracle, I think you're just picking your jungler. You're trying to go for a counter pick in. So you could pick mid here. You already see Ahri, but I think they just want to try to grab something. Okay, so they're going to grab the Orianna and give it over to LJX. I can't imagine LJX has a really creative pick ready to go in the jungle, especially
could be
with where
City
jungle
still.
is.
Could still be City with it
True.
on the in the jungle. If the right matchup ends up coming through. Kizno still has not selected his bot laner either. This would be a fun little pocket pick if it gets selected, but no, the Sona going to be used here. I think it was Chookies and Azog that kind of pioneered this bot lane if the Nami gets banned away. And so now Lit taking a page out of their book.
It does kind of change up how it is because Sona is such a beast when it comes to the game going later. She gets so many resistances. She gets everything that she wants as the game goes on, and especially with Echoes of Helia, even the Moonstone being changed, there's just so many options for her to go for. Thank you, LJX, for playing Trundle here, because there's no reason that Kizno gets to play Xin Zhao so many times. Just drop a Trundle on their head. It's good against literally everybody on Lit. It's good against Dragoon. It's good against the Xin Zhao. It's good against this bottom lane. Pillar is going to be OP. You're sapping AD. You're getting rid of their tank stats. Beautiful, beautiful stuff from Miracle.
And I remember Citywitty actually was somebody who played this Trundle as well, so was thinking maybe that would have gone towards him, but it looks like it will be him, City, on the Aphelios once more. And now LJX actually in a winning matchup this time in the jungle. Kizno is kind of the only jungler at this point that is still playing the Xin Zhao here in Season 13, and that is a very interesting thing to keep an eye out on here, as a bit of a throwback jungle matchup now, because Trundle was the answer to Xin Zhao back in the day, and now we're seeing it here on 13.11.
I'm just gonna say Kizno's really the only player that's playing this because I feel like his pool is a little limited. He has really only played the very aggressive junglers. We haven't really, I think, seen him branch out into some more of the meta stuff. He's picked it when it's available. I think it's not his best look. He's looked the most comfortable when it's on the Viego, when it's on the Xin Zhao. So it makes sense. You're playing toward the comfort of your players. We do need to see Kizno, who actually I think has evolved a little bit in terms of his aggressiveness. It has gone a little bit less from I'm just going to make every single play possible and just see what sticks. And I think really taking the time to think about what am I going for with these plays? What is the objective that I'm actually playing for? And do he always trusts that he can make the right play. Once the play is there, he's going to send it and he's going to try to play it out. But I think his calibration on what is a good fight has been tuned a little bit from what we saw in spring.
Which is always good adjustments. I remember on CB Gaming, Kisno was one of the bright spots, and then slowed down a little bit when he got promoted up to Supernova for the last part of the NACL queue, and then even the start of the promotion tournament. And so even making those adjustments between games in the promotion tournament now into summer is a good thing to see from Kisno. He had a very solid game in that first matchup against Miracle on the Viego, was able to use those resets efficiently, match LJX whenever he was trying to make a play, and really got the better hand. Now, on a different matchup that maybe he's not as favored in, could be an interesting thing to see if the development has taken that next step.
It'll be pretty tough. And I did want to take stock of, the rest of our bracket. We do have kind of just like a lot of games going to be going on. First of all, if you are tuning in, welcome. This is going to be Lit versus Miracle. We also have a couple of other games. After this, we're going to be doing Blue Water versus Apex Mission Impossible on another stream, as we are on Rally Cry 2. If you want to take a look at some more LCS Challengers League qualifiers, you have Rally Cry Official still going on with Team Ambition and Cheese Chasers. And then I think it's Teamless Revenge versus Aporia, which is a very fun matchup. I think between those two teams, that is going to be a slobber knocker. Those two really trying to battle it out. When we got to see them in the Swiss, as I think they landed about where I wanted them to kind of be in terms of their placements, both in pre-Swiss and then post. And there's just a lot of games. After that, we also have LCS Challengers League going to be starting up as well. So a lot of North American action. If you want League of Legends, if you're like, wow, LEC is boring, Astralis one, who cares? I want to see Cheese Chase. I need to see the copyrighted mouse doing something.
It's actually not. It's a different logo now. Did you see on the stream?
Wait. I did
like
it. Okay, I'm checking this out right now.
It's like a very like MS Paint-esque style mouse and cheese.
Okay,
which
I'm tapping in.
Honestly,
I'm tapping
respect.
In. I see it. Wait, it's so based.
It's
looks
pretty good.
like, I think it's Basil. Dude, it looks like Basil made it, which is a compliment. Basil makes great art.
It's the full, what's the word? Just the full exemplifier of what Tier 3 League of Legends is all about, where you can make a new logo like that after getting told, hey, maybe you shouldn't use this copyrighted material. We're about to get into the game, but before we do so, we got to take a second to thank our sponsors over at Turo, as the NACL qualifiers and the NACL are brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace, where you can book any car you want for just about any occasion. Forget boring rental cars at Turo.com. As we hop into game here, number 2 between Miracle and Lit, one of them going to be sent down to the lower bracket, the other one getting those 10 bonus qualification points. We're about to get ready to see if it will be Lit, as they are up 1-0 in this best of 3.
Exactly. If they're able to grab this win, Lit will move on. They will be the first seed going out of Group D, and that will mean that they are going to be going up against the second seed of the other group going on in Rally Cry Official. So going up against any combination of the Team Ambition Cheese Chasers, Teamless Revenge, Aporia. That'll be pretty cool, seeing which one of these teams they're going to be going up against, because they're on the side of the bracket with Winthrop. So after that, they're going to be playing like really, really strong teams, and they will be able to dodge out on playing against Mirage Alliance until the grand finals.
Man, that's going to be pretty fun to watch. I mean, if the side of Team Ambition actually does end up falling, because Cheese Chasers did take game 1 of that series, it would be, at the moment, if results were to hold, Lit versus TA in the first round of playoffs, which would be pretty interesting. Sajin Achai up against Levitating Snow would be a fun matchup. I'm going to have my eyes on that if it does end up happening. But still, a lot more League of Legends to play. Not only do Miracle have a chance to come back, but also, even if a team does lose, they still have to play another best of 3 to get into the quarterfinals next week. And so maybe we're counting our chickens before they hatch.
Hey man, you're just confident. You're just confident that what Lit showed in the last game was enough to potentially take a 2-0. That's okay.
I'm just excited to watch all these competitive teams playing against each other. The playoffs for this tournament are going to go crazy. You know, there might have been a bunch of stops at the start of this tournament, but maybe not anymore. As down the bot lane, Daption Denkin very low. Sajed gets first blood. As we were talking about the bracket, City Witty gets one back, and now Chai has the Airy, has the flash. I think City might go down here. There's the flash forward. The last Q will take him down. Lit Esports come up big in the counter matchup.
Very good win there. Getting the flash out from City Witty. Someone that we praised last game for having really good patience. Falls down there, so no flash. And guess where? Both of the junglers are walking down. Kisno actually pathing towards the top side. I thought maybe he was going to go for a 3-camp clear into the bottom side, but spotted out on a ward as well. They know that he's going up towards this Cassante. Actually, he's going to flip his pathing. So the wards should expire here. You see them pinging out on the side of Lit. They know that there's a ward in Tribush. If Kisno is smart, he's going to dodge out on this. Should expire, so he's going to go through this lane, but there's a ward in the brush. So we'll spot him out here. And look at where LJX is. He's done 4 camps now. He's going to enter the bottom side of the map. He's going to look to try to fight Kisno here, but he has no priority from his bottom lane, who is down about a level or 2 right now between them.
Oh, now mid lane going to be a target here. Message is going to get flashed on, trading the summoner spell back. Nice charm for a little bit of damage in response, as Lit Esports still coming out with a really nice opportunity here. That bot lane was something that we were looking at for Sajid and Chai. They picked the matchup that would have gotten them a lead in the lane, and it does end up paying off for them against City and Chapchin.
Exactly, and without the flash as well, that is the most important part. Without these summoner spells, you are always susceptible to falling as this Aphelios Lulu. And now they just get to take control of this. Sajid steps forward, takes a huge chunk out of both of the laners here for Miracle.
Man, I mean, the Lucian Nami, always a potent duo, but when you have this Sona, provides a little bit of an extra punch. Sona can do more individual damage than the Nami, while still being able to buff up Sajid, getting him the ability to have those empowered auto attacks with the double tap. And it just, you know, goes to show a very powerful bot lane here. City now again playing on the defensive.
Nothing they can do here. I will say, City also did take a bit of a... It's greedier in the sense that you know this lane is going to be pretty tough. Typically, we tend to see Aphelios go for the fleet footwork up against a Lucian lane. And this time going for the lethal tempo means he is missing out on a little bit of sustain. Like Amaz, gonna have to flash. Kisno.
Oh, nice knock up, nice charm out of Message at the mid jungle for Lit. Comes up with an early kill.
Good kill. Taking control of the mid lane. Like Amaz just TP'd back. And even the top side here is not good for Dragoon. Getting the flash out of both of the top laners. Ooh. Winning position for Miracle's top side, but they press tab, they look across the bottom lane, the mid lane, it is not looking good. And look, we said we wanted to see Messages and Kisno linking up together, but now getting that kill in the mid lane, they immediately feign towards bottom side river. They're going to get spotted here, and look at what Lycamaz is doing. Head straight to this bottom lane to make sure that their AD carry does not get dove. They are so low, 200 odd HP. They know that this dive is happening. They want to stop them from getting this wave.
Yeah, I don't think Lit know that Moss is here. As he shows, Kisno will retreat. And so, could have been from bad to worse for a Miracle, but a nice play by Moss will keep his bot lane alive as they will farm out this last wave and head back to base.
So, a lot more early action. We're already doing good. We're 5.5 minutes in. We got 4 kills. We take those. Bot lane is looking good for the side of Lit. We'll have to see how Miracle can bounce back. They obviously have a team that, as the game goes on, does have a lot of options. But the second that Lit can keep the driver, keep the driver's seat, they don't give up the pole position, it's really tough for Miracle to actually get into fights. So you're waiting for Lit to make a mistake. You're waiting for them to actually misposition or use an ability that doesn't find a kill. And now Kisno waiting in the wings. Maz, no TP, no flashy. It's really hard for him to step up. Messages as ult.
There's the Spirit Rush already coming out. Messages is waiting for the right opportunity for the charm right on top of the 3 talent strike. Nicely done once again by Kisno and Messages. They stack the CC and get another kill onto the Orianna.
Okay, so when we're playing Ari Viego, we can't do these plays. But Xin Zhao Ari, yeah, man, we can definitely. Where was this in game 1? Not that it's a bad thing now, the fact that they're grabbing kills, but I wanted to see this amount of aggression coming out from Lit in the first game. it just doesn't seem to, now it seems to start to click. I guess maybe it's like a bit of a mental shift. Like, I have Xin Zhao, we have to go for something. They're even going for dives on the bottom side. City Witty had to take the recall. They're going to force Daption away from this turret, continue to get plates for themselves. Maybe it really is just a start time at 10. We might need to make some split changes next year for qualifiers to make sure that they start at a later time, because game one felt like everybody was a bit sleepy. This time around, there was just nothing stopping Lit from just breaking Miracle over them.
They look like a completely reinvigorated roster with this style of play. The confidence that is exuding from Sajid and Chai, from Messages and Kisno. Dragoon staying rock solid on the top lane as well. If Lit Esports are able to play like this, with their bot lane winning in lane and having their mid jungle work this well, it's going to be a very scary team come the rest of the qualifiers. Miracle, though, have to try to make a response somewhere. Lawrence unable to get anything off of that counter-strike, and Dragoon still in a bit of trouble here, will end up going down to the chomp of LJX.
You saw right there, Dragoon was trying to wiggle. Oh my god, is that a bot lane kill? Okay, City doesn't have the ultimate. They use the flash. Dragoon was trying to wiggle to get the ultimate, to pull LJX over the wall and see if maybe he could try to get something. Turns into a kill for them, and it will open up the top side here, but not an objective here. 2 minutes before the 10-minute mark. It's typically when we start to see the junglers, all the objectives start to get taken away. Kisno will see both LJX and this Scuttle, and will, at least for right now, give it up. There's no priority for him. His laners are not going to be arriving. It would be a 2v2 between junglers and the top laner for Lit, as well as the mid for Miracle. They're going to just give this up. Messages is going to push in on the mid lane. Don't think you can collapse as well. Daption is on his way and will be here first before Chaye. Yeah, so rightfully giving it up, and maybe they try to go for a play on the bottom side. You see again, I love this for Messages. Do not hit the turret. The turret does not matter this game. You are moving into the bottom side. You are making City Witty's life a living hell. He has been the carry for this team, whether it be in AD carry or in jungle, every single time.
Just forcing Daption and City to continue to use their wards on that bottom lane tri-brush means that there's really not a lot of vision around the Dragon Pit now for Miracle. It will be entirely controlled by Kisno for the at least next few minutes of this game. As you can see, him and Messages continuing to try and make plays onto Moss, who now has no mana. Should be a very free Dragon for Lit if they want to take it.
Ooh, Dragoon actually got the ultimate off and was looking for a solo kill. Lawrence is pretty low, but both of them do have their flashes available, or at least Dragoons will be coming up in the next few seconds.
Ultimate's
Dragoon's actually really
lane.
Low.
Yeah, it looks like barely they were able to get away. I think it was just some flashes being blown out of Lawrence. He's going to actually stay in lane right now as the Dragon does get started up by Lit. Dragoon going to back away. Lit Esports controlling both sides of the map after the next play, and they head right back down to the bottom lane.
Exactly. You already see LJX is here and ready to go. Orianna as well following. Man, I just love how it's so proactive. It is becoming a little readable that every single time Messages does feign over towards the bot side, but even if it is, what are you going to do as Miracle? You don't have access through mid lane. Lycamaz has to kind of make that decision of, do I drop this minion wave and be behind? Or do I just stay here in mid lane and try to catch up and hope and pray that my bot lane can either outplay or get out in time, and we can kind of make up the difference in whatever advantages I'm getting? And for right now, it seems like we're just going to continue kind of state of the game. Dragon going over to Lit. There's a Rift Herald in the back pocket of LJX that is going to be timing out soon. So I wonder where that is going to be going. It's not really in a great position to put topside. Maybe they just try to use it in mid to get gold for Lycamaz to even up that matchup. Because right now, bot lane is not looking good.
Immediately, you can see Messages clear out the wave in mid, run down to the bottom lane. It's been a very standard formula for Lit Esports so far here in this game. And Moss has to continue to just check to see that Messages not gone in for something. Very creatively standing there in the blue buff pit, maybe seeing if Moss would follow on a roam. And now topside seems to be the focus for Miracle. Lawrence trying to get this wave shoved in, popping the ultimate. LGX on his way as well. Should mean the Herald will get a couple of plates on this crash.
It will mean, yeah, exactly. The plates should be coming in. They're actually TPing to save this. Good win. That's a big win for Miracle. Now you have to get out.
Looks like there's not a ton of opportunities to gap close just yet. Messages going to dash forward with the Spirit Rush. Lawrence is taken down. Moss will trade with the Shockwave on to Dragoon. So both top laners end up falling. LJX still alive, still has the Herald, and I still think that the Shelly should be procced here on this
yeah.
plate. They're just getting very greedy in this situation. Moss has to flash away from messages, and that Herald just does not get procced.
Yeah, I forgot that there is a visual bug right now on Spectator where it treats Herald like a ward timer, and so that timer was actually just like it looks like a ward. It looks like he has 2 Rift Heralds. Probably has about a minute and a half left on this to be able to use it. Looks like they are going to just use this in mid. That gold is going into Lawrence's pocket here. So splitting the gold between top and jungle. Another game like we saw in their first one up against Apex. Oh, just barely only gets one plate. It's very sad. Yeah, feel bad for Kisno there. And Lit doesn't mean too much. They are still up 2,000 gold. And they should be able to get at least some of these minions under the turret. Bot lane is under so much duress, however. Sajid already finishing his first item. Already has 3 plates in the bottom lane. We got 2 minutes before this dragon spawns. You have to think that Lit should be going for this, picking up this objective. Miracle are going to need to be very creative with how they get into this objective.
Not really a ton of options. I was looking around, like you're really relying on a Lawrence flank or a really nice pillar or shockwave out of LGX or like a Moss, because there's no like immediate go button. You have to rely on being very creative, as you did say, Alk. So with the bot lane just continuing to be a terrible situation for Miracle, might be another opportunity for them to just give up this dragon and continue to try to scale into late game.
Oh man, oh man. Such a scary spot if you are Miracle, because you will have to kind of weigh the fact of, if we give this dragon, do we think that the trade that we are making is going to even up this game or buy us some time to pick up items? Because right now it's not getting better. Like you're very close topside to finishing out your items, but and even maybe you can say the same in mid. But Lycamaz going for the Saris means that he will be tanky, or at least be able to be very durable. Oh my god, look at this trade.
Thrown out a huge crescendo coming out from Chai. Sajid flashes too far forward, and LGX is here to respond. Citywitty will live, and a big mistake out of the Lit Esports bottom lane. Miracle now have control around Drag.
Oh, he does some minions! City!
No, okay, the trade will still happen though, as Chai will likely go down here. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Messages and Kisno going in at it in a 2v1 situation. It's been a rough game for Lycamaz as he will fall. Chai will live. And at the end of the day, Miracle actually getting a little bit of an unfortunate situation there. I thought it was going to go much more in their favor off that play.
Yeah, I think they also thought that Chai was going to go down. That's definitely a heartbreaker. The fact that City dies to minions is like such a sad thing, just because even if City wasn't going to die there, he couldn't participate for the dragon because they were so low. So now Lit, they get the second dragon. They won the mid matchup. I think Lit are going forward as the first seed here. We're just not seeing Miracle really fire on all cylinders. Maybe we can kind of talk to these players after the match and see what went wrong for them. We're going to have an interview with the winning team regardless. Now they get the second dragon. There's an Ocean Soul spawning. Kisno, I think you're a bit in no man's land. He could just hit the challenging duel and just flash over the wall if he really needs to.
He's going to go forward. They have the backup from behind the pit. And Kisno just refusing to flash away until he finally utilizes that summoner spell. LJX almost died off of that play as Lit Esports get their second Drake.
Sajid, though, sent it on that last play. Respect. He had the ignite. He was like, I'm getting for that last tick. If I find this kill, I look like the GOAT. The casters are popping off. Just a little bit too far there for Sajid, but definitely feeling it. And that was some of the mechanics that we were promised with this player. Someone that coming out of solo queue was definitely really hyped up. We didn't have a lot of competitive experience for this guy, and everybody was saying, in solo queue, I never see this guy troll. He always seems to have really good hands, and I don't think we got to see that throughout too many of the qualifiers. But here and now, throughout this split, he has been stand out. The laning phase has still been an issue, but it comes down to his team fighting. You see how comfortable he's getting, especially when we talked with him last week about him expanding his champion pool. Sajid is really starting to shape up alongside with Chaye.
Yeah, I mean, these were both very new players to the competitive sphere as we enter 2023. I think Sajid's only experience at the tier 3 level was as a jungler in 2022 on a team called Nameless Randoms back in the day. So now playing bot lane on Lit in the spring split, he had basically munching and conveying. They were the stars of the show there. But now Sajed really taking a next step on this newfound roster.
No.
Topside, though, ultimate comes out. Lawrence will be able to escape with the jump. So
Kisno's definitely flaming his top laner for that one. He's like, bro, that was
I
free.
was walking over there.
I literally was about to auto attack him. And he's like, sorry, man. And, you know, Kishan's like, sorry, man. It's fine.
More messages.
I'll let it happen.
Lands a charm on the City Witty off the flank. What a beautiful play from Messages. 4-0-1 on the Aria City. Once again goes down.
Has a ton of movement speed. LJX will not be able to get into this. They still have Rift Herald here for Kisno. He's going to finish out his camps and probably look to at least put it down closer to the Dragon. I was going to say maybe put it in mid, but seeing how it has like 15% HP, doesn't seem like it. Even if they don't get it on this push, they can get it on future waves here. Lit Esports, man, what can we say other than the fact that this team feels like it is ready to go into promotion tournament? Like, we're pretty early on into the tournament. We are in the first split, but we have them seeded as fourth. We are expecting them to make elimination. We're expecting them to make it to the promotion tournament, barring no changes, barring nothing exploding in terms of our rosters going into the second split. And there's a really good early showing here in the first split.
Yeah, now once again, Lawrence under fire. The Intofo Strike connect. Counter-Strike doesn't find anything. And Kisno and Dragoon looking to chase him down. The Wild Growth comes out from Daption. A nice cancel of the 3-talent strike. Make sure that jump does not end up landing. Dragoon picks up another kill as Messages is able to Spirit Rush out safely. Make sure there's no trade on the other end.
Nothing for them to do, and even gets a huge amount of damage. Might even be able to... I was thinking maybe he might be able to go for it. They spawn the Rift Herald up on topside, and there's no one to answer. They're going to lose out on this mid-tier one. Daption and City Witty are going to have to pick this up and try to clear this. But it's only the objective. It's only the Rift Herald. There's such a massive wave in mid lane. And now Messages, can you make the outplay? Can you make this happen? Dragoon can teleport for this.
Oh, does flash, lands a charm down to LGX. One more tower shot would have taken him down, but he sets up things nicely for Dragoon. Gets one kill onto Moss. Not going to be able to chase down LJX, though. Messages able to buy his time enough to make it a 1-for-1.
They even get the mid-tier one, and tier 2, so they got 4 turrets out of that play. Or they got at least 3. They got the top tier 2, then they got the 2 in mid, which makes it that much more difficult for Miracle to actually step into their jungle, to actually contest for these dragons. I think Miracle is just too far behind. We wanted to see early game plans from the side of Lit Esports, and they are delivering on every single one of them.
It's about a 6,500, almost 7,000 gold lead now for Lit. This is I think this probably is, thinking about it, the best early game that we've seen from this team all season, and we know how good they have been in the team fights so far throughout the OQs and throughout the first 2 weeks of the group stage. And Miracle now have to dig deep. They do not want to go down to that lower bracket. Might be an angle through Lawrence. He's been pushing well, lands a stun onto Messages, but Chai's here. Ultimate goes wide. Now LJX may be here to try and go for something.
Grapes.
Look like it's gonna happen.
Grapes, check your Vaseline. I got hit with the Chai ult. I think it's stunned. I think the Vaseline jar is dancing.
Yeah, not the best showing out of Chai right there.
We got to give everything we can possibly for Miracle at this point, man. Like I got to grasp at straws for them. We're really trying to stretch thin any losses here for Lit Esports. They're gonna grab the Dragon. They have complete control of this Baron pit if they really want it as well. So everything, it's pick of the litter. Everything is theirs. The world is their oyster for Lit. While Miracle, similar to game 1, just getting suffocated. It feels like they're kind of holding themselves back. They're not really going for any plays. Every fight looks losing if you don't have the mindset to make it a winning play. You weren't doing anything in topside. LJX has a majority of your kills, but is just playing this Trundle. Really needs to be getting into the face of the opponents. Feel bad for Lawrence here. Is he going to take this trade? Doesn't know that Kisno's in the wings.
Yeah, the ultimate comes back from Dragoon. Another easy kill for Lit Esports. They are making Miracle not look like a very good team, despite all that we've seen from them in the qualifiers so far. As Lit look poised to run away with this one. A 2-0 victory looks imminent, as Lit now have a 7,500 gold lead.
All right, well, we are looking towards, in the future between these two. Like we were talking about during the draft, first seed out of this group is going to be playing up against the second seed. And if the other stream is going about as expected, we should be looking at potentially a combination of Team Ambition, Teamless Revenge, Aporia being that second seed moving forward. Not only that, but we're also going to be eliminating a few teams. 2 teams today are going to be eliminated. Teamless Revenge, Aporia going on over on Rally Cry Official later on as the second series. Dragoon getting a bit of damage, but he is Cassante. Showmaker was right. This champion is absolutely ridiculous. And another set of teams that we could be saying goodbye to is either Blue Water or Apex Mission Impossible, which will be our next series after this. So if Lit are able to take the 2-0, we'll be going straight into that elimination match.
Oh, Lit is playing very far forward right now with the Baron available for the taking. Miracle forced to try and run their way through, but it's not looking likely at the moment. They could buy enough time. Lawrence could be able to take down another objective bounty in the bottom lane, but Lit Esports, they're going to start up this Baron.
Really nothing for Miracle to do. They're not really in position. Maybe they find this pick onto messages, get the spear rush out.
Oh, LJX already taken a huge beating right now. Teleport comes in from Lawrence, and Chai is a bit caught out. The crescendo comes through, but he does get taken out. First kill going over, but look at the damage from Messages and Sajed. Immediately trading back onto Dapchin, and Dragoon will be able to flash away and keep himself alive. It's a 4v4. City still up and ready. Right now, it doesn't look like Miracle can run them down. It's just the 1-for-1. They push Lit off the Baron.
That was, a good defense coming out from the side of Miracle. I saw City Witty. As a fellow AD carry player, I got tapped in on that. He had Infernum. He was looking for the ultimate. He was waiting for them to group up to find that extra kill onto one other member of Lit Esports. Is anybody able to find that? So they're going to clear out waves. They're going to stop them from taking the Baron, but that is not the end of the game. That is not them getting back into this. They are picking up items here, but they are so far behind at this point. City Witty is on 1.5 items. Sajid has doubled that. 3 items and working towards a 4th. He is so far ahead, and it's good to see from a team that, we have them slated as the 4th seed, yes, but does have players who I think some people looking, if they were coming in from last split, were maybe a little bit maligned. You're going to be looking at Kisna. We've had our discussions talking about how this player is a little bit inconsistent and maybe is a little too aggressive in certain instances. Maybe has a limited champion pool. Messages on that native roster who, for all that they were touted up to be, weren't able to make top 4, just barely scraping in at 5. And, was one of the players that did have to fill in at the last moment to be able to play for the last dance in the promotion tournament. Wasn't able to do too much damage there. They had a lot of fun. I know that, looking at comms and looking at some of the content they put out. But some of these players haven't been able to have the best spring split, and now here on this roster, feels like it's all coming together.
And this might be the last fight that would seal the deal for Lit. A huge ultimate out of Amaz as he gets sent all the way over the wall. As Dragoon now on a rampage, looking to chase down the rest of Miracle. LJX still able to flash away. The Moonlight Vigil comes out. City with the Gale Force forward, and Messages does fall, but the culling out of Sajid will pick up 3 back-to-back-to-back. Lit Esports diving forward. It's a quadra kill for Sajid to end the game for Lit Esports. The death timers are long enough for them to march into the base through bottom lane.
Oh my god, Sajid almost gets the double penta back-to-back from last week to now. Only gets a quadra kill, so whoever stole that kill will probably be made to play a dog champion in the next couple of drafts.
Okay,
but we'll be seeing them. Hey, yeah, okay, never mind. Fair enough. Shout out to Lit. They're going to be going as the 1st seed out of Group D, and we're going to be sending our 3rd team qualifying into our elimination stage bracket.
Lit Esports now with 70 qualification points. They got 20 in the OQs. They now have 50 through the group stage. And that is a very good start if you are Lit. This is a team that people had expectations of. A lot of players from Supernova that ended up promoting in alongside some newer talent. And it seems like everything's coming together. I want to, again, highlight Sajid and Chai as, the bot lane that came in maybe as the expected weak link. They have not looked like that so far in our first 2 weeks of play.
They've looked so much better. Their laning phase still needs a little work. Do not think I'm going to let you get off easy for watching that first game. But they are definitely making a name for themselves. They're one of our most experienced bot lanes coming into the qualifiers because of the fact that they got to play in that first split, all of that together. And as a pair, they're one of the pairs that kind of got left over when you looked at all the tryouts that were happening. Sajid and Chaye were someone who were constantly playing together, and to see them find success is always really heartening. I'm looking forward to who we get for our interview here between these two, because it'll be, I think there'll be some fun words as they've now qualified for playoffs, and I'm looking forward into the rest of the LCS Challengers.
Yeah, congratulations once again to Lit. We're going to be taking a short break, and when we come back, we will have that interview with the winner from Lit Esports. Welcome back, everybody, to the LCS Challengers League qualifiers. We're here with an interview from the winner of Lit Esports, the support player, Chaye, who just came off of a 2-0 victory over Miracle. Chaye, congratulations on the win. What was the decision-making process behind, going for a lot of late-game oriented bot lanes and then switching very quickly to the Lucian Sona here in Game 2?
Okay. We got to talk to Sajid last week. How are you in particular feeling about your duo, since you're one of the only bot laners that have stick together as a pair throughout this year so far?
Okay.
I saw those laning phases against Apex. Okay, we gotta or Blue Water.
Okay, chill.
Exactly. Do we
Hey,
want to talk
hey.
about Game 2? The
No,
Okay then. All right.
Past 25 minutes. Past 25 minutes. I think I can agree with
Alright.
you at least so far. But we're looking forward to
I'll accept that.
the improvement later on hopefully will be good. I want to ask you about what the game plan was going against Miracle, because they're one of the only teams that has this like weird lane swap situation where sometimes City plays, sometimes LGX plays bot lane. Notice that you guys targeted City Witty a little bit. Were you scared going in of that guy specifically?
I mean, like their lane swap and role swap is kind of OP, but like no offense to the rest of the players, but City Witty is their best player, so we had to lock that guy down. Make sure that he can't pop off.
Good. Respect. Okay, good. So I said that on the broadcast, and I was like, I hope none of the players are like, yeah, no, that's not true, because that guy is dropping bombs on every single scoreboard when they start winning. So
yes, sir.
feels good. Jai, I did want to ask. Obviously, you're one of the newer players to, playing some competitive. I did want to ask, like, how are you feeling coming into this year? What are your expectations for yourselves? Because we as a broadcast may have expectations, but like, it's up to you. Like, what are your goals for 2023 and even moving forward?
I mean, like now that I have a year of experience under me, like I'm so much more confident. Like, like my previous image before, it might be like a little worse because like people like may think I was not as good as I am now. But like going into this split, I think I'm easily a top 3, top 4 support, and I'm here to win the OQs. Like, no one's gonna fucking stop me. Oh, sorry, can I stop?
Yeah, dude. Oh no. Oh, we're
maybe
sorry,
not
Chai.
really, but it's all right.
Guys, I think we've lost Chai with the. It's okay. Everyone gets one. You get one, brother.
Yeah, everyone gets one.
Yeah,
First,
I'll be chilling.
no, you're all good.
You're good. You're
Chai,
good.
Before we let you go, got your matchup upcoming, likely up against the winner of Cheese Chasers versus Team Ambition, I believe. Is that correct?
So they're going into the second seed. So they have like there is so much that they have to. Yeah, they go up against the second seed of Group C. Have you taken a look of Group C, Chaya? That's the Team Ambition, Cheese Chasers, Teamless Revenge, Aporia.
I mean, now that you tell me, now I know. But like, I don't bother looking at these randoms,
Okay.
Are there
Respect.
any teams that you're looking at? Is like maybe they'll take us to like a 3-game series, because so far it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I think Cheese Chasers have a really good team. Team Ambition, obviously they're a seed higher than us. Maybe those two are contenders to bring us into Game 3.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, thank you, Chaya. Is there any shout outs you want to give before we send you back for the boys?
Yeah, shout out to Lit. Like, these guys are insane at the game, and they kind of just carry me every time. Shout out to my friends at 69 Falling. You guys know who you are. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you, Chai, very much for the interview. We're wishing you the best of luck as we make your way to the quarterfinals next Sunday. But for now, we got to step away as we get ready for our next series of the day, Blue Water versus Apex Mission Impossible.
All right. Yeah, yes, sir. Have a good day, guys. Peace.
See ya.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to coverage of the NACL qualifiers here on twitch.tv/RallyCry2. A reminder that though NACL will be starting in the top of the hour, you can follow us here on RallyCry2 and RallyCry Official for all of your NACL qualifier needs, as we'll have multiple streams going on throughout the weekends, throughout the next few weeks or so as we go throughout the summer. But after our first matchup between Lit and Miracle has concluded, we have our lower bracket game to get underway between Blue Otter and Apex Mission Impossible. Alk Battery, these were two teams that put up some fight against the top squads in our Group D, but failed to come out at the end of the day. And I'm honestly excited to watch these two teams duke it out.
Yeah, Blue Otter, they didn't officially take a game if you just look at the match score, but second game up against Miracle, up against Lit, they very nearly took that game and ran away with it. It came down to a single last team fight. The split pushing from Dragoon took over the game. And unfortunately for them, they did fall down into this lower bracket. And same thing could be said for Apex Mission Impossible. When we saw them play up against Miracle, game one was not particularly close, but the next two games, we got very, very, I want to say close, but then I remember 13 and 2 Kindred from City Witty,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that game was getting out of hand very, very quickly. So hopefully within the week that's been, they've been able to heal their wounds, patch themselves up, and get right back into it, because this is an elimination match for these teams. Loser goes home, is going to have to wait until the next split or the next qualifier, which is in about 3 weeks. You definitely just want to be playing through all that, getting as many points for themselves, while winner is going to be going up against Miracle. And I'm sure that that team is not going to be happy that they're in the lower bracket right now.
Yeah, and both teams wanting revenge to get back into the playoffs if they end up taking this series. But they're going to have to get through each other first, as we can take a look at the rosters before we get into the draft. First off, with Blue Otter, they're a team consisting of Izo, Demon, Reppy, Zev, and Pika Pika. Izo and Reppy, the sole laners over on Northwood University. Zev over on Team Ambition, and Demon and Pika Pika, some newer additions to this team.
I was really impressed with Demon once we got him kind of up and running, once this player started to really kind of feel themselves in the game, maybe just getting away from their first stage game up against Lit. I thought Demon actually did a pretty okay job for themselves, and I'm looking forward to see what we get from them.
Yeah, and on the other side, their opponents, Apex Mission Impossible, a team with a little bit more experience, except in the bottom lane with Baz. They got Decoy, Reg, Ariandel, Baz, and Pockus. All 4 of the 5 players have participated at this level in years past, and they've all looked pretty decent when doing it, but looking to make that next step towards the playoffs.
Yeah, I think when we look at this team, it's a team full of semi-pro veterans, players that have been in the tier 3 space. You have Ariandel, who is the longest standing member, a CLOL champion, someone that has played on countless different rosters, semi-pro. And then Reg is somewhat newer. He obviously had that stint on, when we saw him kind of playing in Champions Cube, qualifiers. He made it with that team with Wolverine. That was like the big kind of show out. And then we didn't get to see too much of Reg in competitive. I think he kind of had some spurts, but didn't have that same success. Is now here in the group stage, and I'm looking forward to see what we get from him, because now he's playing with a really, really experienced mid laner who I think knows what they want to do. You have Decoy, who has been playing a little bit more of like a setup, has been playing a lot more of those bruisers, and you have a pretty fresh bot lane in Baz, while Pockus has been around. I think has a similar level of experience as someone like a Decoy.
Yeah, should be an exciting game to start off. Izo versus Decoy in the top lane. Both players that mostly play on the weak side, so it'll be interesting to see who ends up coming out on top in that regard. Heading off into the ban phase, Blue Otter have selected blue side. It is a 0-0 score, not 1-0 for Blue Otter, as we are getting things done here. The Zev Zeri taken off the board. This is something that he has been very comfortable as of late. And we'll see what Blue Otter want to prioritize. A lot of power picks still on the board.
Exactly. The Blanc got taken away, so we're not going to be seeing that today. We're 0 for 3 right now, actually. I kind of feel a little bit weird not having to talk about Static Shiv. Like, game 1, we talked about how, they're not even building game 2. We didn't even mention it. Like, it just wasn't a thing. And while they got rid of a lot of OPs, there are so many champions that are really warping right now. And I will say, Kindred is one of them right in the jungle. She is just so strong. Her itemization with the Trinity Force build makes it very difficult for her to actually go down. She has an incredible spike on every single item that she's able to get. even before that, she's just such a proactive jungler, someone that is going to be able to take care of the fact that this is a pretty slow meta right now on patch 13.11. We are going for games that are going to be going a lot longer. More and more marks means that she gets stronger and stronger. We saw City get 650 auto attack range for crying aloud. 13 stacks, man.
Yeah, maybe for Reach, an opportunity to do some extra damage on this champion. The Rengar is something that he's very familiar with, but instead playing another champion that does a lot of damage. Interestingly enough, though, the Nautilus getting locked in early. This could be a pick for Izo in the top lane, but you also always have to consider the flexibility potential if an Enchanter is not picked up here on 3.
Exactly. If not an enchanter, they might want to be able to pick up like some kind of jungler, I assume, just something that is going to get Demon off to the races. You saw that they actually banned away the Rakan. So wanting to take away a Xayah Rakan away from them. And also Rakan is just one of the most premier engaged supports right now. The fact that he can go in, he has all this movement speed, he charms, knocks up. And also, I think the more important one is the ability to actually get out. Usually a lot of the engaged supports are one-way tickets into the enemy team. Rakan does it all, so good for them on the side of Blue Water. Apex, though, being up, I think, a pretty strong core. Gragas, very flexible, can go into multiple different roles. You have Varus, who has actually been picking up a lot of steam in mid lane. I think you got to cast a Kai'Sa game in mid lane. Don't know if we're going to really see that from Ariandel and Reppy, but hey, we have a Katarina player, and he pulled it out last week, so
yeah,
I think anything's possible at this point, man.
I think we might see a little bit more Static Shiv this series than we did in the first one, because the Varus is somebody who can utilize that pretty well. You mentioned Reppy and the Katarina had a very interesting game on that champion in the last series that they had against Lit. So always something that we have to keep in our minds as we head into the second ban phase. Reppy going to get targeted here already with the Lissandra, as Blue Water, they don't play against this poke lane. They deign the Heimerdinger at support.
Wow. Yeah, that's been popular over in LPL. Top Esports, Jackie Love and Mark have been playing a lot of Varus, and they usually pair it with the Heimerdinger. They also will pair it with the Pike, so something that will need to be, something that they keep track of. Getting rid of Lissandra kind of tells me, I mean, we haven't seen Ahri picked up, so like really wanting to get rid of a lot of the bad matchups, maybe even going for like a flex here. They should just pick support. If you're Apex, you're just trying to lock that in for yourselves. Yeah, grab yourself the Lulu. Takes it away from Aphelios, which I think is a really important piece, but also still allows you to have counterpick, whether you want that in the mid lane or in the top lane.
Yeah, the Grag is still flexible. Ariandel and Decoy definitely both capable of playing it. If I had to guess, it would be Decoy on the Gragas and waiting to see what Ariandel would want to pick on R5. But because the Lissandra was taken away, that does mean that Blue Water can go for the Ahri here on 4. Another champion that can potentially run the Static Shiv. I've seen it in different situations, and others have not seen it. Of course, Messages did not elect to go for that item. But we'll see what the remainder of this draft will look like. We're either looking at a support or a top laner now for Blue Water.
Okay. I mean, what do you really pick here? You could just go like Nautilus Blind if you really want to and try to pick up another Enchanter. Soraka's not bad here.
Oh,
there you go. Okay, the Soraka silence is really OP versus that entire team. So glad to see it coming out from Pika Pika, one of our newer players joining us in competitive. For Apex Mission Impossible, now it's kind of time to show your hand. We're going to be finishing out the draft here. We're going to be picking up what looks to be that. I was going to say, I don't really want to be baited by hovers. I was wondering if this Varus was going to go mid lane. I think it would have been an okay matchup into Ahri. But Ariandel just going to go for somewhat of an older classic in the Galio. So they just have a bunch of circles now. We look at this comp. They got the Gragas and the Kindred to be able to toss them out. There's going to be some dyssynergy between Decoy and Ariandel. Everybody kind of getting thrown out of the Gragas ultimate. Doesn't mean that the hero's entrance is not going to be knocking up enough people. So I'm looking for how Apex Mission Impossible will really can kind of hone in on that. I think it'll be a little tough. You're going to need absolutely perfect comms. That's not always going to happen here in semi-pro.
But it is Ariandel on the Galio, a very classic pickup for him in the mid lane. Somebody who is very good at wave clearing, getting around the map, and impacting the side lanes. Specifically, needs to help Reg and Baz get ahead in this game, because those two are going to have to be the win conditions right now for Apex. Specifically, Reg in the jungle, especially because when you have a big tank like Izo, Reg is basically your only physical damage on Apex's side. Baz likely going to go for that AP style build, which means that for Reach, getting those early stacks, impacting the map at the beginning of the game, maybe alongside Ariandel, is going to be very important.
I will be worried here for Apex Mission Impossible. They are a very low range composition. You're kind of relying on your different engages from like a Gragas, Galio. Varus can attack from long range, but when you have a Lulu, you're typically going to be going for an on-hit build, so he is going to be a bit further up. And going up against the, Blue Water, they are no slouches. They are always willing for you to walk into them. They have a Nautilus ready to go. They have this Kha'Zix that can get into the backline. And if we're going to see Repi on Ahri, I do want to see a little bit of a better performance. I think last week up against Lit, rightfully so, they were going up against the highest seed in their group, but I think the actual execution of some of his champions, not only the Katarina, but his ability to like approach team fights was a little bit flawed, and I do want to see him kind of working on that, especially when we are expecting these players to be growing week on week.
I do like the team fight that Blue Water has set up for themselves. They have the Ahri to facilitate a lot, and Izo on the frontline Nautilus. Like, this is a pocket pick for him. Of course, the Maokai is something that we always think about, but he's been whipping this out since CLOL top 8, about 2 months ago at this point.
Yeah.
So this guy has had a lot of reps on this champion. Will have a pretty easy matchup into the Gragas. If you just buy a Catalyst, it's pretty easy to just stay alive in that lane. And that's what I'm going to be keeping my eyes on in the top lane specifically, and what the team fighting for Blue Water will look like as we get later on into this game.
Right now, all I can tell you is that for Apex Mission Impossible, you've got, they've pulled up the guide. They have City Witty on one monitor, and they're channeling the Kindred. They're just like, I need to be Apex Mission Impossible City Witty right now. I will be the Siddler Whittler. I will run this game. I am the Kindred. No one can kill me. Kha'Zix definitely will not invade me early on and make me want to leave the game. Prage. Do a little prayer for Miracle.
Praise in the chat here for Miracle and for Apex Mission Impossible. Before we get into the game, have to thank our sponsors because the NACL qualifiers are brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car sharing marketplace where you can book any car you want for just about any occasion. Forget boring rental cars at Turo.com. Are you driving? Just... all right, Alex going back down into the rental car as we get ready for the series. Might have to solo cast for a little bit here.
Guys, the car went missing. I need to contact Turo real quick. The support people are not helping right now. Apparently, when I tell them the car went missing, they go, "How did you do that?" I can't explain that to them. It's not working.
It won't happen over at Turo because they are very reliable. Thank you very much to them for helping us out in the NACL and the NACL qualifier. It's always nice to have a big sponsor to support NA talent, support the developmental landscape here in 2023. And I'm ready to get into this game. A reminder and for the stakes here, Blue Water and Apex, the winner of this series will move on to play against Miracle. The loser is out. And while that is not necessarily a death sentence because the winner of the next tournament will get into the promotion tournament, it is going to be very hard to qualify in Alpha points if you do fall right now.
Very difficult. Very, very difficult, especially when you haven't won a match in the group stage. That's a tough ask. I think it's a pretty big kind of leap. You're going to have to go very far, potentially even going in. We got gameplay. There's no more podcasting from us. We've made it past our 3-minute delay. And here we go. Blue Water going up against Apex Mission Impossible. Repi with the fleet footwork does tell us that this is going to be that static shift build. And Ariandel going for a much more supportive start by taking the Aftershock. It means that he won't be able to have much damage to kind of contest up against Repi. And is definitely going to be someone that is facilitating for his jungler, which is not all that new compared to what we've seen from the meta.
Yeah, the Doran Shield is interesting. I feel like even if you're going a supportive Galio build, I see a lot of Doran's rings just to get a little extra mana, throw a couple of extra Qs out to keep yourself in the lane for longer. But Ariandel feeling comfortable with trying to stay alive as long as possible, knowing that the long sword of the Ahri could actually, a little bit extra poke to start things off.
Will mean that he is going to have to wait a little bit longer to actually clear out a mini wave with a single Q. That's typically one of the strong points of Galio. Once you get some items or once you get a little bit of AP under your belt, you can just one-shot the backline mini wave and then auto-attack the front three and you're chilling. But not going to be able to happen this game. Both of our junglers are going to be starting topside, which means walking down towards this bottom lane, looking for how they can set up. There's not a lot of CC, so I just expect for junglers to be going for full clears here. The onus is on Demon on this Kha'Zix. He can farm to 6 and it'll be fine, but I do want to see if he maybe can get some early action, especially when we've already set up the fact that Reppy playing up against Ariandel should be able to get pushed once he gets a few levels in, but already, I mean, Ariandel doing perfectly fine. Got that first wave out of the turret without any issues. Chilling.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to match. I feel like Galio and Ari will be able to match push pretty easily. Typically one rotation of spells, and for Reppy, once you get that static shiv, one auto attack and maybe a Q will be able to clear out the entire minion wave. And you see Ariandel having a pretty good time here with the Doran shield. Perfect CS through the first 2 waves.
You think he's gonna keep it up? How far do you think he gets to?
Ooh,
Before he
just
misses
getting
one.
charm there. I'm not. I don't have a good feeling about this wave.
Okay, this wave's looking a little doomed. Observers, we need to stay here. Oh, it's one.
Yeah.
All right, well,
I told you.
all right, cool. So you had the sixth sense. You
Oh, he
said
missed
you said
two.
you weren't good for the analysis, but you got it, brother man.
Yeah, caster curse in reverse, I guess, as Arendelle will miss 2 minions off of this wave.
Oh, it's so doomed, guys.
Yeah, I just gotta. If I say things that are negative, then they actually
They
do
come true.
So I gotta be careful as we continue to move forward. Reach skipping the blue buff as he's finished off his first clear. Might look to either rotate right back around. The objective, of course, is to be around that bottom side scuttle. Hope for that mark to land in the right side of the map. Looks like I feel like we're gonna get a pretty quiet early game unless Demon decides to go for an invade.
Yeah. So, Reg, what you could do here as as someone who has a little bit of Kindred experience, walk towards mid. This is why he kind of ended on his blue buff here. He is making sure to get as much blue buff timer as possible, but typically you do want to try to walk mid to try to coin flip for it, and it seems like the
Oh.
mark is on mid, but Ariandel misses the dash. So, losing out on this mark, and Demon can very easily walk up towards the top side and take this next one. You can fight for this. You have Decoy, who is TPing back in, which means Izo will be able to move first and go straight into the bottom side jungle. You see Reppy even kind of making his way over. They're going to flash for
they
this.
double flash right onto Reppy. This is the only play for AMI, and they get first blood onto the hands of Reach. They knew that Demon was going to be going towards that crab, and AMI makes him pay.
Okay, Reg, you can't be here, bro. You cannot be here anymore. Okay, Izo, I don't know what that one was. You were aiming for the fridge on that hook, but they're going to start this up. No smite available for Reach. He won't even be able to get this. Demon comes out ahead. Might be sacrificing their
flash.
top laner.
Still lands Justice Punch onto Izo. The barrel will slow him down. Reppy returning with the teleport, and so Apex Mission Impossible have to retreat. Thought that they would have had a good opportunity with the numbers advantage, but Demon gets the better hand. 2 of the crabs on their side.
All right, 600 gold here for AMI. A kill onto Reach, but it wasn't the mark. The mark was onto Demon, and so that'll mean that the only thing that Reg is he's got the gold. He's probably matching up against Demon, and the fact that they could just they kept everything even. There is no flash, however, now for 3 members of Blue Otter. I want to see if maybe they can try to make a punishment on the side of AMI.
So far, other than that first kill, not too much happening in the lane. Things tend to be going relatively even, except for Ariandel, who has about a wave and a half in lead over Reppy just based off of that first kill. And now it's the opportunity for Ariandel to try and go for some roams. Now with the lane advantage, has a Dark Seal, can shove things out pretty easily. Will he be even better once he hits level 6? But even now, you clear out some stuff with the Winds of War, make your way towards top or bot, make something happen.
I don't know if it was intentional, but missing that backline minions does mean that the wave will push into him. So if he's just trying to manicure the wave so that it'll come towards him, make sure that he's playing safe. He's playing Galio. I don't think you're going to be making very many dives early on. It feels like this Galio is going to be a lot more reactive than necessarily trying to start plays off. The only real kind of dive that they have is with Reg and Decoy on the Scrogus. So plays like that are only going to materialize as the game goes on and we start to see laning phase start to free up most of these players. About a wave and a half in mid because Ariandel was trying to get this wave to come towards him and stay in front of the turret. It does open up Blue Otter to start up this dragon. Tech first. You already see Ice was actually making his way down here, feigning. There's nothing for him to do top lane. He doesn't actually have to even go all the way towards this fight. He can just go mid, pick up this wave and walk all the way back top lane. You won't have missed anything, and gets a little bit of trade with Ariandel. He's pulling this mid wave to try and help out his mid laner.
Yeah, getting Reppy into a bit of a better spot because has struggled so far in this game. Working well for Blue Water, all things considered, though, as they do get the first dragon. And of course, with that static shift being completed soon, it will mean that Reppy will eventually be in a pretty good spot. Nice little barrel there by Decoy. Aizo does get back to lane, but without missing a few CS.
We're talking about CS leads. Zev, a player that was on Team Ambition last split, did have to fill in for Aaron after their promotion up into the LCS Challengers League. You know, a player that I think has had some ups and downs in their competitive career so far, but I mean, is doing perfectly fine here. Was a really big fan of the Aphelios in the early parts of the split in spring, and going up against Baz, you have a little bit of an easier time just because Baz is so new to the scene, and AD carry has not been incredibly aggressive early on unless you're going to be picking up something like a Lucian. So far this split, I think, has been one of the more consistent members in trying to gather them leads and turning those into game victories for Blue Water.
Yeah, the two wave lead now onto Baz and Pockets is going to be big. We have two players here who are playing their first splits in competitive. We have Demon for Blue Water and Baz for Apex Mission Impossible, and so far, it looks like Demon's getting the better hand of the two, especially because Zev does have that pretty significant CS lead. The Rift Herald, now a target here for AMI. They have Ariandel off the push. Baz going to clean up this wave, and now they're going to maybe start this one up.
Everybody and their mothers are here for this Rift
Yeah.
Herald. I don't know if we need to really rotate everybody over, but they want to fight. We're probably going to get one of our first team fights really early on, which is a lot different than what we saw in our first series. Constantly just reapproaching back in from mid lane.
Ooh.
Decoy, it seems like they are going for this straight up front to back. There's not going to be a flank from Gragas. There's not going to be them kind of going in. Watch for how Pika Pika and Aizo play this. They're playing up in the front, and now they even have Calibrum turrets. Stop the engage from Decoy. That's pretty massive.
Decoy looking for a barrel to try and find some. The Herald going to get taken out, but a big bomb coming out from the Gragas. Hero's entrance knocks up two. Ariandel does not land a taunt. Depth charge landing only onto Region. Demon's going to flash forward, force the Lamb's Respite. Zev still full HP, has a ton of chakrams at his disposal, but they will get out safely. The Rift Herald does not have the eye collected, so Blue Water don't get anything off of that huge fight.
They get the gold and the experience, and that's as far as that's going to go. They're going to lose out on a bunch of these waves now. Decoy pushing in his mid lane now is going to be another wave lost. So a lot of the gold that was given as like a goodwill from Zev is now being lost in favor of Ariandel, who is going for what looks to still be some of that AP build. Maybe this is like an Everfrost coming out from him.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how much he can actually get out of this. Good job, I guess, from this. Like, good job to both teams because Blue Water, they obviously got it. But that engage for the fight just wasn't quite it for them. It wasn't where they exactly wanted it. So it led to AMI being able to defend that objective. Another Scuttle being spawned, another mark here for Reach, but he's not actually able to move into this river quite yet.
It is interesting to note, like, for Apex, their team composition relies a ton on counter engage, right? Because you have the Lamb's Respite, you have the Galio ulti, even like the Wild Growth can be a good, a good way to try and get people away from a fight. So you're really only looking at Decoy and maybe a Chain of Corruption out of Baz to start things off. So Blue Water can play pretty aggressively right now in the enemy jungle. Ariandel is on the flank, has the flash to try to maybe make a play. So the blue buff not going to be going down, but you can see these teams playing really, really carefully as a unit, seemingly marching all together to make sure that each player stays safe.
This feels like Hive Minds, bro. Like, we're watching two different Hive Minds play. We're watching two Zerg players just go at it constantly. Now, Demon really wants this blue buff. I don't know if you could do this, brother, man. So the blue buff goes over. He should see him on the wireframe. Demon, you cannot be here. That's just going to be a kill going over.
Pops the ulti, maybe can find something. Nice taunt out of Ariandel, and Demon will go down 2-0 to Apex Mission Possible.
Good punish. I just don't know why he's there. There's literally no reason to be there as a jungler. Your mid lane can't be there. Decoy actually roaming on over. So Reppy now getting very close.
Yeah, the barrel was used. Maybe one last piece of damage onto Reppy. He will survive. Fleet footwork again, playing a little bit of a factor there, as looks like nobody in the mid lane will go down there.
we have our first completed item, and it's the Trinity Force. I wanted to see how Blue Water would be able to play team fights because it is so interesting for the champions they have, right? They have Nautilus in the top lane. They have a Soraka here and available. So these two champions can play hand in hand with each other in the front line, providing silence. The Q slow as well is going to be huge. One of the big things, when people talk about Soraka, it's always like, oh, she has so much healing, but the silence usage is so important. It is a pretty long cooldown and one of her most important spells that she has. And obviously her ultimate changes how you have to view lethal, because not only do you have to kill them once, you have to play around an additional like 200 to 400 HP. So Soraka alongside Analyst can provide so much utility for this team, but they need to get there. And so far, the people that we really wanted to see kind of step up are Reppy and Demon, and are not having the best game one currently.
They each have one death. I do think that Demon has been on the aggressive a lot of the time, and that is something that is good to see. Maybe now with Reppy picking up his Static Shiv, we'll be able to get onto the map a little bit more, because right now hasn't had the best start to the game, constantly being pressured out of mid lane by Reg and Ariandel. As we see now even Reg going for the enemy Raptor steal. Pretty good start for Apex Mission Impossible. They're playing things out slowly, but are doing well in that.
I want to see what AMI can do. They are still waiting for a ton of items, and we did say that they have a ton of counter engage. They really, really want to be first to the objective on every single play, just because it is just so important for them. If they can set up for the Galio, if they can have something like the Varus, who can spread all of those blight stacks. It's actually going for the poke build here, so don't know how much effectiveness you're going to be getting out of pockets. It seems like this Lulu is going to be pulling a bit of a different kind of role than what we would have expected. Typically when you have Lulu, you're trying to use the on hits, you're trying to shield up an AD carry to really kind of let loose with picks and do a bunch of bonus damage, but more so another disengage tool with the polymorph, with the wild growth, things to try to stop someone like Demon from going in.
Yeah, the disengage again, very good. Re-engage, counter-engage for AMI. But that means that they don't want to be the ones to start these fights, and so the pressure is on Blue Water. Maybe just go for things here. AMI honestly can just... Their timers have to fully be around posturing on objectives, looking for, just being in positions first, because it forces Blue Water to go into a position that they enjoy.
Okay. I mean, they have the Static Shiv now. They're even moving towards the sides. I think these lane allocations are a little interesting. You do have the Rift Herald spawning, so you really want Izo to be here for this fight and setting up. Reach has 3 stacks. He has a single one left. I don't know if he's marked anybody. I know he marked Demon at the beginning and did get a kill there, so hasn't put it on anybody quite yet. I know it's a pretty long cooldown to try to change those marks, but definitely wants to try and hit that 4 mark. That's one of your benchmarks you want to be able to hit as a Kindred. Doesn't take you out of the game. You're still definitely very strong without it, especially when you look at how far ahead he is right now, even on farm, but up a level and has the Trinity Force. So feeling very confident for AMI as they set up for this objective. You actually see the top laners not going to even bother with the TP. If I'm Decoy and I know that Nautilus is moving, I don't think I have to match. Just grab this wave, push it in, and then look for something. Zev has to flash early though.
Yeah, nice hook though on to Reg from Izo. Pops a wild growth, just a couple of summoners being traded back and forth. Herald is up and Zev does not have flash or cleanse anymore. Be a pretty dangerous spot for Blue Water if they want to engage. Another hook goes wide onto Decoy. Now the barrel gonna send Izo back into the enemy team. The Nautilus in a really bad spot. The Polymorph buying some time, and Baz will pick up the 3rd kill for AMI.
Why is everybody here for this Rift Herald, guys? We're treating this like a Baron. Not everybody needs to be here. I think this is a little bit of maybe some of that inexperience when we talk about the newer players on this roster, on both of these rosters, but all 5 of you do not need to be here. We're missing out on waves on the side lanes. You have Reppy, who's literally on top lane with this Static Shiv. You could stay there, and it leads to a huge winning position here for AMI, where they grab the Rift Herald. Kindred is getting further and further ahead at this point, and now has all of the standing objectives. You're missing out on waves on the side lane. We're not actually using those teleports to great effect. I feel like both of these teams, we wanted to see a lot more from them. They're obviously in an elimination match, and while they are at the bottom in terms of the standings, in terms of where they are seeding-wise, we always want to expect more from these teams to do a little bit better. You have players who have been around for such a long time. It feels like they're very desperate, and the game is not over. We're in game one. We don't have to start making some rat plays to get back into the game.
Yeah, and Blue Water seemingly unable to find the right opportunities, or just forcing the Rift Herald a little bit too hard in both situations. And in Apex, they did follow, but they got the better end both times. Now up three kills, about 2,500 gold, and now in a good position to set up around this second dragon that will be spawning. Will be a Chemtech Rift here, as see Rift Herald getting the spawn in the mid lane, getting them a little bit of extra pressure. Crack open the tier 1. That is the first tower of the game, 17 minutes in.
They didn't even have to use a Rift Herald for that turret. That's it's
getting
really worrisome here, because they should be looking to try to siege on this next one. Iso could look for a hook.
Oh wait, look at the bot side of the fight.
Demon
getting caught out here by Decoy, using the blast cone, but Reg is going to be able to pick it up. The Kindred is on a killing spree right now, 4-0 to Apex, Mission Impossible. And Blue Water, they're looking to try to find a response onto Baz. Iso misses the dredge line and now has to run away, as the piercing arrow will chunk him to half HP. Apex headed right to the Dragon. They're in firm control of game number 1.
Baz right now with this poke build is making Zev's life a living hell. He cannot actually step up without taking poke, and even with the heal from Pika Pika on the Soraka, it's just not enough. Needs to really get that infusion from the Starfall. It'll be another Dragon falling over to the side of AMI. It'll be them taking this game without dying quite yet. It has not been an objectively perfect game, but if you just look at the kills, it's only going to get harder and harder. They're only going to get more and more items, more and more defensive stats available to them. You're not probably killing Ariandel. Actually, I scratched that. The tanks, the people who are going in, are going to be the most likely ones to go down, because they're going to be heading in first, going to take all of that damage. You still have Reg, who is level 10 at this point, almost hits that 11 mark, almost has his second item. He's going to be looking to go for that Black Cleaver, so just getting tankier and tankier, one of the most obnoxious parts of this champion, thanks to the Trinity Force changes.
Yeah, continuing to get extra movement speed, be a big menace. Also gets pretty tanky. I think Reg is working towards a Black Cleaver second item, which will be able to shred through Iso even easier now. Things looking pretty good for Apex Mission Impossible, and Blue Water are aware of this. They're looking to go for an aggressive play. A big blast cone comes over from Iso, and they will try to lock the Kindred down. Depth charge comes out, not enough damage on the backside, and here comes Ariandel. Baz gets the first kill onto Iso, and now Damon's in a really bad spot. Blue Water were just a little bit too separated, as Apex will collapse.
There is a Baron coming up in 40 seconds. Maybe they could try to look for that. The death timers will mean that all of Blue Water are here. Reppy is the man right now if you are on Blue Water. He is 0-1. You are still waiting for Zev to actually have a pretty massive team fight, but it is just so difficult for him to actually have an influence when you look at how constantly either one person is falling down around him or just getting poked out by this Varus. And Reppy has been grabbing turrets on the sideline, has been looking. They're going to try and make this TP play behind. You see the exit into the north side of the map? They need to be able to force. They've now invested way too much for this play. Baz and Pockets, see what you can do.
Oh, 2 flashes out of the AMI bot lane to try and get away from Iso's ult hook coming out. Looks like AMI looking for a potential re-engage. Pika Pika is very low. Will not have a ton of help left. There comes the wish, but immediately Reg gets taken out, and Ariandel going to dash forward as well. Zev has some good guns, has used the Moonlight Vigil, but here comes Decoy on the flank. Zev gets bursted out, and Reg is unstoppable, jumping forward with a dance of arrows. He'll get himself a triple kill, as Decoy will finish the job. A clean ace for Apex Mission Impossible, as they will head over to the Baron at 20 minutes.
It is 11-0. AMI are just embarrassing Blue Water at this point. It is an embarrassment of riches for them as they climb the gold lead to 7,000. They'll grab the Baron here. Dragon spawning in 2 minutes. They'll be able to push out on some of these waves. I expect for these outer turrets to be the name of the game. Go through mid, push into the bottom lane, and take quick work of this first game into the series. Blue Water, maybe it's just the fact that it's an early game. Let's just say, hey, it's our first game jitters. Wipe it off. Let's see what we can do in game 2. But Blue Water need to get it together, and we need to see Zev now. I mean, like who are we looking for? Because Reppy's not doing damage in team fights. Zev is still far away from picking up his second item. There's just, I think this game is just kind of scrapped.
Yeah, it's tough. 11-0 is one of the saddest things that you can see in a game of League of Legends. It's not looking good for Blue Water, as Apex are up almost 9,000 gold, and Reg is two and a half items on a Kindred, 6-0 and 4, looking to carry his team to that game 1 victory. Very excited to see a player like Reg do well at this stage. Has had some experience at the semi-pro level, won a game against 100 Thieves next on large, but has not continued to find that success in recent times. Blue Water pushing down mid lane, but everyone else on Apex is on the bottom half of the map. At tier 2, going to fall really, really easily, as Ariandel has a really good time clearing these waves out and making sure that Blue Water don't get anything in response.
They're just using the Baron. There's nothing for them to do on the top side now. Reppy can't even go for the side lane anymore. They're losing way too much. The turret is just getting absolutely evaporated. This might be their play now.
Oh, Ledgeline goes wide, and he gets hit up by the body slam. Sent right back in with the explosive cast, and Baz is now unstoppable. Moonlight Vigil with the Infernum does a lot of damage, but everybody on Apex is still pretty healthy, around half HP on Decoy at the lowest. Inhibitor in the bot lane going to go down. It is 12-0, Apex running game number 1.
Now Apex, they have their pick of the litter. They can go for this dragon. They don't even have to send everybody over. We'll say, I think they do need to be able to sync up their waves. It looks like they actually just want to try and spend their gold, finish out on their items. Even if they were to give up this dragon, I don't think it's actually going to matter all that much. Getting some really good stats out of these dragons. It is Chemtech, so they're getting some tenacity and heal shield power, which feels nice, especially. Maybe not the tenacity, considering we still are kind of waiting for Iso to connect to the game. But Demon has not had a fantastic start, and I think that could just be kind of translated over the entirety of Blue Water. They are still yet to pick up a kill. 10,000 gold lead here. And what do they do in game 2, right? Because this is similar to how they lost to Lit, right? They didn't do anything. Yeah. Their mid lane, Reppy, unfortunately got absolutely bodied by messages and Kisno. And then Zev and Pika Pika just could not stand up to Sajid and Chaye. So what is the game plan? Like, who is the leader in this team?
Trying to find pockets, but not even able to kill the support as the grand entrance comes through. Another double kill, finding the way of Baz. As, yeah, not looking like there's much that Blue Water can do at this point. 23.5 minutes in, the gold lead 11,000. As Apex doing all the right things to close out this first game.
How's your morning been?
Yeah, it's been all right. I'm on the East Coast now, so it's pretty late in the afternoon at this point. I had some eggs and toast. That's what I had before my precast meal. It was nice.
Well, how do you make your eggs?
Over easy. So.
All right, fine.
Pretty standard, pretty basic.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You get a little more fancy later on.
Yeah, so. I love scrambled eggs. Like that's the go-to.
Scrambled eggs are base.
The problem with any kind of sunny side up, I think we might get a team fight here. Okay, Iso sending out the ultimate, but
yep. It looks like Apex trying to crack open Blue Water's base right now. Nice ultimate landing in onto Zev. Red has the red and white gun, so able to push Apex away. Blue Water still have not found their first kill, but we got pretty close on that counter engage.
Ariandel's like, I don't want to be the first one to die. I don't want to. No one wants to be that guy. Nobody wants to be the first one to go down, and they're not going to let it happen. So scrambled eggs. Yeah, that's usually my plate. The problem I have with like over easy or like sunny side up is when you have too many of them. I don't know. The yolk for me gets a bit much after like eating it for a while. So
that's true.
You kind of gotta like either have to kind of like speed run it, or I can only have it like once a week maybe, because it's just like the yolk is just a little too rich in my opinion. But I've gotten really good at making scrambled eggs.
Do you do like the Gordon Ramsay strategy? Yeah, like much cream.
I have been. I tried it once. I will say, I really couldn't taste the difference. I guess it was a little bit creamier, and it gave me some really good texture. But I've gotten the technique down to making sure that like the eggs are like nice and fluffy. I've gotten away from the old school like a little bit of burnt edges on the eggs. You get something like very, very white and pure, or yellow and pure. It's great. Iso going down. Oh my god!
Oh, big ulti coming out from Decoy. This is the end of the game, as Apex definitely had their breakfast this morning. They wiped the floor with Blue Water and take game 1 of this series.
11,000 gold, man, and 15-0. Yoink scoop. That's a stomp. That's a stomp I've ever seen. We've always seen it like at least one or two. You know, do a little trolling. We're like, oh, haha, like they've gotten some kills. They're finally on the board. not this time. They got some objectives. That was it. Apex, they're looking like they want to go home. They look like they want to send us to a 4-0. They want to just go back to playing some solo queue. And Blue Water need them to wake up, need them to get back into this game.
Yeah, not the perfect game because Blue Water got a couple of towers, but as close as you can get for Apex Mission Impossible. A very clean start to this best of 3 series. We'll see if Blue Water can come back after this break.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car sharing marketplace. Find your drive.
Welcome back, everybody, to the NACL Qualifiers. We're here with potentially our last game of the group stage on our second best-of-3 series. Blue Water did get 15-0'd by Apex Mission Impossible in that game number 1, and if they want to come back and keep their hopes of staying alive in this first qualifier tournament, they're going to have to turn things around pretty quickly, starting here in this Game 2 draft.
Yeah, not only the draft, their gameplay is going to have to change up. I just hope that whoever is on the staff for this team, as you can see, the coach, then Uncle Phil, but hopefully the rest of the people at Blue Water can kind of like get into the group chat, maybe not do it ready style and like start screaming, but like say like, hey guys, like what's going on? What can we do to help? Blue Water has been a pillar of the amateur community for such a long time by providing leagues for people to be able to play in. So it's really cool to see them take a step into the semi-pro space. But I do want to see them obviously succeed if that's going to be, because sometimes people will be a little bit harsh and be like, oh, well, they didn't do anything. They didn't get any results. They made it to the group stage, which 16 other teams cannot say that they did. Which, you know, like that is a feat within itself. But we do actually want to see them, if they are going to be at this level, push some of our teams, push teams like Apex who are around them in the seeding. So now here, bans are staying relatively the same, although Kindred has now joined them. And hopefully this means for Blue Water, who are staying on the blue side, that something a little bit different can kind of come up from the draft.
No, the one thing they have taken away the Kindred from Reg, and also the decoy Gragas going to get locked in first by Blue Water.
Okay.
So it seems like they have acknowledged that those two champions specifically were problems for them. Those will not be on the board for Apex Mission Impossible to select. We'll see what the response is on the other side. Annie could be interesting. I did like the Galio look out of Ariandel. It was a pretty solid facilitating champion, able to get a lot of decent plays off for them, but it will be a different look this time around with the Annie locked in.
Still someone that has a lot of damage, and when we're talking about being able to start fights, I love this Annie. She just sits in fog, she can flash, and suddenly there's a 4-man stun, and there's really nothing on the side of Blue Water that they can do. Taking in the Aphelios again, so they want to make sure that they have the lane priority. The range advantage from Aphelios in the early game will be very nice. Blue Water, a couple of options. I think it's going to be pretty difficult to play something like a Jinx up against the Annie as the game goes on. There's just an Annie that's going to be on top of you constantly. But if that is something that they want to go for, I think it is pretty strong. Xayah has seemed to be very popular, and there was a Rakan that didn't get banned this time. So grabbing the Xayah Rakan does mean that they will have a lot of engage, potentially here for Blue Water to go for a pretty good dive composition.
That is the setup so far for Blue Water. Can Apex do the same thing in terms of finding picks that can disengage well? The Aphelios is already a pretty good option. You have a Lulu potentially available for pockets as well. We saw that work well for them in the first game. And they're going to try to probably round out their bottom lane as we head into the second phase of the draft. The Nautilus is going to get locked in instead, though. So a little bit more engaged to match blow for blow with what Blue Water have brought to the table.
Yeah, a lot of magic damage as well, so looking for what Reg can pull out from the jungle. This is a guy who plays a lot of Rengar, and if you're Blue Water, you have to be thinking, can they pull out a Rengar here? Jungle is the only one that are available. Getting rid of Vi is definitely a good answer. There's no Kindred. Wukong would be my next one, because if you are going to be playing that, we've been getting the Kha'Zix away from themselves, so interested to see. I mean, we haven't seen it all that much, but I was surprised we have not gone a lot of Rek'Sai. I know Rek'Sai is pretty one-dimensional, but she got a lot of buffs on this patch, and we have a lot of junglers that love to play aggressive. Early game has been pretty slow. If you're getting pretty bored, could pull out the Rek'Sai to try to get some funky stuff going on.
And for Blue Water, I want to see some champions that can snowball, that can have big impact in the early game, because I think that could be what helps them come out on top and maybe start that comeback, start that reverse sweep against Apex Mission Impossible, because we saw a lot of them being hesitant in that last game, and they might not have had the best engage tools. You were mainly looking at Iso landing those dredge lines, and a lot of those didn't end up connecting, unfortunately. And so now you have a little bit more of easy crowd control, easy engage with Pika Pika on the Rakan, and the barrels coming out from either Damon or Iso, whoever ends up piloting that Gragas. I do like a little bit more agency here and hope to see more of it here in these next 2 picks. Oh!
Yes! Yes! I knew it! They got rid of all the bad junglers for Rengar. Rengar's super strong. Over in the LPL, there's a player that came up from their dev league for IG. His name is Tianxian. He is a very big Rengar one trick, and he has been spamming it to mixed success, but he is one of the only players that is playing it in a top-level region. So we're glad that we're going to be able to get some Rengar, and hopefully we get some spicier stuff here, getting some early invades. It's the champion that he's known for in solo queue and in champs queue. I'm looking forward to what we get from him.
Yeah, the Kha'Zix was banned, but the Rengar was left open, and now Apex Mission Impossible have a whole lot of physical damage on their composition. That was something that you were potentially worried about, Alk, so glad to see that they have balanced out their comp a little bit more. The Jarvan getting locked in for Damon, so Blue Water listening to maybe calls to go more aggressive. They're going to pick that one up, as well as a Malzahar in the mid lane for Reppy.
All right, this is the ultimate. We do not want Reg to have any fun this game. Zero fun. He jumps in, Malzahar, Jarvan's EQ, Gragas E. This is I think still a very tough game, and hey, if we're looking for full clears, Reg is going to be that guy as the game goes on. We're looking forward to see what Apex, they have a Gnar as well. And going up against the Gragas, Hullbreaker is going to be very, very important, as it's very difficult for Gragas to be able to clear the wave with his kit and being an AP champion, where with this Hullbreaker, you can really try to kind of abuse that with any kind of cannon minions that spawn into your lane. So, Blue Water, this is our call for you. We've still got another 3 minutes on delay, so don't have to worry about it. I know you're probably just going to be talking with each other. Do something, please. We'll get it. If we get a kill, that's cool. But I want to see some early action. You have Jarvan in this game. Jarvan and Pika Pika, you need to link up, get some action going. Mid lane, nothing is going to happen. Probably what's going to happen is Reppy is going to get auto attack from 650 auto attack range, because Annie is a great champion like that. And pop the shield, stun you, protect mid, move around the map. Please just do something for the love of God this game. If I see full clear Jarvan, I'm going to scream.
They need to, right? And they have the tools to do it. Reppy in the mid lane will be very solid, just clearing out waves, and eventually once you hit that level 6, can roam alongside Damon to maybe find opportunities in the side lanes. And you have a winning matchup in the bot lane with Zyra Khan, a bot lane 2v2 that can win out in the laning phase. They have a ton of buffs to help them against this Aphelios Nautilus lane. They need to hopefully get some things done. Damon, this new player for Blue Water, has a lot on his shoulders, specifically through the first few levels, to make sure that his team does not go down too early in this game.
It's full clear versus early action. I want to see what Blue Water can do. They should have access to early dragons early on into the game, but they're going to be the ones in control of whether or not they get eliminated here. They've given themselves some pretty good, starter kits to get into a game. The Malzahar, I'm not sold on. There's a reason why this champion is not in. Has very, very awful wave clear until he picks up a little bit of AP. Maybe if you get the minion dematerializer, you can kind of get a little funky with minion damage and start looking there. But early on, very mana intensive until you're able to get a few points in your E, at least 3. So looking towards that level 5. Level 6 is cool, but also incredibly stationary. There's a Nautilus on the enemy team. I'm just a little worried, especially with the performance we've gotten out of Reppy so far. I think while he has been aggressive, I don't think that the answer to, hey, you're not really generating leads, is to just play Malzahar.
Well, he'll be able to farm waves out. Hopefully can get pushed. That is something that Malzahar is good at. And maybe that will give him a better angle to go and impact some of these side lanes. But eyes do have to be on this mid jungle again to see if Blue Water can end up taking this game, taking their first game of the group stage and forcing us to a decisive game 3. We got about a minute until we get into the game, but I'm just ready to see Apex Mission Impossible, and especially reach on the Rengar as well. I mean, this guy... this is something we kind of haven't talked about a lot because we're trying to find win conditions for Blue Water. Reg is playing the Rengar, so that's always going to be an exciting thing as well.
Yeah, it's his main. It's one of the champions that we know him for from solo queue, and I'm really happy to kind of get him to play this champion. This is a perfect situation to kind of pull this out, because if you do win, then hey, you won on Rengar, and people are going to have to potentially start banning Rengar again from you, which opens up a slot in the draft. If you don't win, you already had that head start, and you can say, okay, well, we played the Rengar game, Reg. Like, you got it out of your system. Now we can go back to all the regular stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting to hopefully it's a success so we can see more Rengar in the NACL qualifiers. I'll always be down for that. But before we hop into game, I have to give a quick shout out to our sponsors because the NACL qualifiers are brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car sharing marketplace where you can buy any car you want for just about any occasion. Forget boring rental cars at Turo.com. Thank you once again to Turo for helping us out in the NA developmental scene. But we're about to head into game. Could be our last one of the day if it goes similar to the last matchup. Apex Mission Impossible against Blue Water here in the lower bracket.
We got anything that's possible. All I know is that we talked about this during the break. I have not gone to 6 games on this broadcast. Ever. Every week, I have not gone 6 games. I've gotten 5, and I've gotten 4.
Could be 5 again.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, at max, it's 5, right? Like, we already finished our first series, so I'm still keeping strong. We're keeping everything together. We're doing good, and we're looking at these teams, right? Like, we've already set up. Reg wants to try to get that level 6. Does have some early plays that he can look for, and I love that they're going for this early invade, but Ward's coming out from Blue Water. Good prep, good level 1 strategy there to make sure that this does not happen. Rengar level 1 is such a menace, and even as the Xayah, it's very difficult to actually play up against this Rengar. I mean, I know that I was saying that, like, hey, Rengar should have some issues with initially engaging, but in the early game, if Reg visits any of these lanes, I don't think very many people can peel him. I think, funnily enough, Reg is the safest person, and that's pre-6. If he goes top lane, Iso can, like, if he ever body slams into this Rengar, that's just GG. And actually staying here, whether or not it's a lane invade, are we going to see a 5-man level 1?
Oh, wow.
They're all walking in.
Collapsing.
They don't know now.
This is happening. Yeah. Soon, Reppy's going to be spotted, and they might try to go in. It is an all-out brawl, level 1. They root up Damon, and they pick up first blood for Apex Mission Impossible. And now Reg can go crazy, jumping in onto Pika Pika, and almost able to take out the Rakan. That's not the start you want for Blue Water. They get first blood onto Reg, and will steal away the entire bottom half of the map.
Good job for Apex. Blue Water, why are we walking there? Like, we already saw them. We didn't see them exit. So worst case scenario, they exit out through bottom side, which, hey, we put a ward in. You never win that level 1. You're playing Xayah level 1 versus Pika with a Rakan. Now there's no flash, there's no ignite for this bottom lane. So the laning phase that we had praised for Blue Water is not going to be the same. And now even topside, this is going to affect him. Not only is that a kill going over to Reg, but now Iso has to use the teleport so early on. So any lane leads that Decoy is able to get, any poke that lands, it's going to turn into further advantages. I just don't know why you don't just start on the top side. You're pathing towards your bottom lane anyway. There's no reason for us to go towards Decoy. Pretty big mistake coming out from Blue Water to start off this second game.
The level 1 just worked too well for Apex Mission Impossible. You had pockets with the dredge line. Reg has the jumps when he's in the jungle with those brushes. And it was too easy of an early start to this game for Apex Mission Impossible. And Blue Water, the team that had to get ahead early, as we re-emphasized over and over again, is now down 1,000 gold just 3 minutes in.
It's pretty nuts, and that's not what you want to see, especially when we're talking about Rengar getting that kill. Has him back, so the gold is not quite at a large disparity when we look at the, being able to turn gold into items. But Reg also has the Bone Tooth necklace, so he is getting percent AD, which is going to be like a small buff. He should have something like a longsword right now, thanks to his passive. So, hey man, if you're AMI, you're saying thanks. We love a free start. Like, we'll take that. We got exactly what we wanted. We almost got 2 kills even. I thought maybe Reg was going to flash there to really kill confirm onto Pika Pika, but instead now Reg, he took the entire bottom side. He's going to recall, now finish, go towards the bottom side. Already has a serrated Dirk. The best that Damon can do is get some wards down, get the early scuttle, try to start up this blue buff. But Reg is coming straight into this lane. He could be able to steal. You even see Ariandel starting to feign over.
Oh, they land the hook onto Pika Pika. He has to use a grand entrance away. Pocket's gonna flash forward to try and follow up. Baz with the ult with the guns gonna pick up the first kill, and now Damon gonna try to respond here. Zev very low on mana, so won't be able to find too much. It is a 4v2,
No!
and Apex will die for the first time this series as Pockets goes down. Damon trying to flash forward, find something on the Baz, and Zev actually having a good opportunity in this fight to make something happen. Ariandel very low on mana right now, as Reach won't be able to clean up. It is a 2-for-1 in the bottom lane.
Zev gets a kill, but Damon is just getting further and further behind. More kills for the Rengar, but it wasn't a unique kill, you know, so I gotta give something over to Blue Otter. It wasn't a unique kill, so the Bone Tooth Necklace is not fully stacking up. Maybe it was that kill onto Pika Pika. You gotta look for something. Reg, what are you doing? What are we doing? Okay, he's helping his AD carry get the minions under the turret. Wanted to make sure that it crashed. Smart play from Reg. Seemed like Baz was more than comfortable with letting his jungler just do all the work there, but making sure to help him out on the recall.
It is good to see Damon at least go for that play, even though Reg did end up picking up a kill right there. Still looking to go aggressive right there, posturing in the mid lane as well. The waves haven't been in the best spot for Blue Otter to allow for their Jarvan to go for plays in their lanes. And so AMI still in a good spot.
Oh, they can't do this now.
Winning that fight. The Dragon actually going to get stopped here by Reg. Looks like Blue Water have warded them off.
They were trying to sneak around, and you saw that Pika Pika was sitting in the river / like the entrance to the bottom side jungle. And by doing that, ends up spotting out Reg. You saw that Damon was actually sitting in mid lane trying to catch out Ariandel. Was looking to try to go for Raptors, did get a ward, so they will spot out Rengar on this side of the clear. But now, not being able to take that Dragon, that's a good play. The good denial coming out from Blue Water. Still looking for stuff, exactly what we wanted to see coming into this game too. Don't be afraid if you are going to fall behind early. Just keep making plays, and that's what we wanted to see. That's exactly what they do with this composition. And now level 4, it just doesn't matter. Just gank serve. You know that these minions are not going to matter, these camps. Just keep going in.
Yeah, they have to just keep attempting to try and turn this game around, because you're not going to do it in the late game. It has to be early for Blue Water. Damon was spotted on a control ward there, so was unable to go for a play. And he just has to keep searching, keep looking for opportunities against Apex Mission Impossible. Right now, those options seem few and far between. Reppy has the level 6 right now. Getting the wave pushed with those Voidlings, it is a very effective strategy. So now can open up for possibilities on additional roams across the side lanes. I think Zev really has to step up and be the difference maker here. Has the first kill, has a 10 CS lead, and probably going to get a lot of attention both from mid and jungle.
Jeez. Wow. I mean, they're getting some CS advantages here. Bottom lane, but like you see the 3 assists in Baz's back pocket. You have mid with a small one because Reppy, like you were saying, is able to get some push. Damon finishes his bottom side camps. And he's like, okay, guys, I'm back. All right, I'm here. There is no wards, and Reg is on his way, but he is so close to level 6 on this Rengar. Have to be worried. Teleports are available for the top side here, but Decoy not going to be Mega Gnar anytime soon. Reg looks like he's actually playing for the Scuttle here. Ariandel's also missing, so they don't know where some of the members of Apex are.
The wave just not in a good enough position for Blue Water to pull the trigger. They had to try to go for something with Baz and Pockets without Flash. But it looks like instead their priorities will maybe lie towards this Mountain Drake or maybe the mid lane. They're rotating right back up to the Rift Herald as it is spawning soon.
This was an interesting play. I think I don't know how well they were timing summoner spells, because if they're timing summoner spells, you go for that. You try to force them out. You have the level 6 on Zev. You should be looking for it. But instead, it's just not going to be the play here, as Reppy now has the ultimate available, gets really, really low. Ariandel, this has been the play of like the meta, basically, for anytime there's an Annie. It's anytime you want to get mid priority, you put the tippers on their head, you say, cool, now you've lost 60% of your HP, I'm going to take control of this.
Oh, Izo! Just running way too far forward as Ariandel will take him down. Pocket's coming in with the dredge line onto Pika Pika. He's in a bad spot, using the grand entrance forward, not finding the knockup, has to dash away as Reg picks up a kill. Blue Water just running into Apex Mission Impossible as they lose 2 in the fight.
And now that's 3 different charms here available for Reg. So He's picked up the kill onto Izo, onto Damon, onto Pika Pika. So they're getting more and more. There's even a play in mid lane here as Baz should tick
Does
down
go
to
down.
Reppy. So it's another kill. We're already getting, we're getting there. We're getting more and more of them. They're finding plays, but maybe not in the same manner that they would have expected, in the way that they would have wanted to be able to dictate the pace of this to AMI, getting the rift over themselves. Rengar is just so far ahead at this point.
They are the carries of Blue Otter League. You have Reppy with a kill, now you have Zev with the kill. And these are actually two champions, the Malzahar and the Xayah, that can negate some of the damage that Rengar can put out, right? If you can use the Featherstorm or the ultimate, stop Reg in his tracks, and maybe find a way to burst out one of the crucial carries. But I mean, it's still a tough hill to climb. As Apex, they pick up the Herald after Blue Water sent a lot of resources over to that play, and they're still down about 2,000 gold.
Moving in play towards the bottom side. I mean, Dragon's up, so this is really their play. Oh my god, Reg, no!
Wow, Pika Pika so low. One more auto would have taken him down. And now Reppy on the wrong side of things. Ariandel is going to take this one in a solo fashion. One last Incinerate will finish off the solo kill, as it's now 6-2 in favor of AMI.
As much as things change, the draft, the amount of kills, things stay the same. Blue Otter unable to find much success in this early game, even spawning the Herald now. So they'll grab this mid turret, getting plates into Baz. You also have the Dragon here. There's nothing happening on top side. If there was nothing happening in the bottom side of the map, I would have expected for Damon to go top lane. This Gnar versus Gragas matchup is not the easiest for Gnar. As soon as you use Hop or any time that Gragas can get on top of you, you can find a solo kill. You can find some assistance with your jungler. But this is not happening. Whether it's Blue Water just feeling too afraid, some analysis paralysis, making too many decisions going on. The fact of the matter is they're just not doing anything, and it's leading to AMI just getting whatever they want.
Yeah, all of a sudden that gold lead ballooned to 3,000 as they finally decide to pick up the Dragon because it is worth their while. AMI looking very solid, looking like they want a rematch up against Miracle, and that was a very competitive series, so it is going to be a fun one to keep our eyes on as we continue to move forward here. Demon looking for something. This Jarvan hasn't had the greatest early game, and maybe Decoy can be the one to go down to the might of the Blue Water jungler, but once again, Apex playing really good around their waves, making sure they don't overcommit and will never be in a bad spot.
Okay, let's see what happens. I mean, there are still plays to be had, right? It's only 3,000. It's only about 2,500 gold for the side of AMI. There are still things that can be done. It's not quite doom and gloom, but with the trend of what we saw in game one, I think the trend of just every game today so far has not been fantastic. I wanted to talk about this, but the level 1 was kind of way more important. Felios has not won today on this stream. We're 0-3 on this champion, unfortunately. I love being able to completely twist stats to fit my narrative, and that's one part of the broadcast here.
Yep. So you're an Aphelios hater, is what I'm hearing.
Oh, I love Aphelios. Our players just hate Aphelios. They don't want Aphelios to win. They don't want to see him on the up and up. That's not my fault.
Yeah,
I guess City was trying. City at least was trying. I'll give him that.
City had some good ultis here as Izo has teleported back in, uses the ulti to try to clear the wave, but 3 members of Apex down here on this top lane tier 1. Not a good spot to utilize that summoner spell as Izo will go down.
Pretty tough position now. They are giving up a lot on the rest of the map. You see right now, Damon and Reppy are actually in the bottom lane, trying to make this play onto Ariandel. Immediately invest the flash. Trades out for the grand entrance, or the quickness from Pika Pika. They're trying to get this top tier turret. I wonder which one falls first. I haven't seen the bottom lane turret. Alright, so they do get that one first. So it was a little bit of gold back in favor of Blue Water, but being able to trade 1 for 1 and then being able to reset does mean that they'll be able to grab stuff.
They do get the tower in the bot lane off of that play, so small victory. The plates are still up, which means that another nice infusion of gold into Reppy. Has the completed Leandries now, the Sork Shoes, and now working towards the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, so has the opportunity to potentially lock down some of these key targets. They haven't been able to do that, though, in spades just yet. Reg and Ariandel still have those shutdowns, still have those targets on their heads.
Okay. There's all the shutdowns, but like these champions are getting more and more resilient, right? Ariandel, even without the flash, now has the stopwatch. Reg is level 9 and is going to be very... They can barely live versus a Rengar. I played against Rengar yesterday, and I was just like constantly reminded this champion is so dumb. Being able to just pop someone within 0.67 seconds, big thumbs up for me. I love that champion. Decoy flashing, respecting the fact that Reppy does have the ultimate and not necessarily knowing where the rest of the squads are. So it doesn't want to be one of the people going down and giving over some gold to the side of Blue Water, but like... They have to survive the Rengar first, and then we can worry about actually taking him down and getting that shutdown.
Yeah, they do have, again, good tools to try and stop him. That was something that we actually talked about at the start of this draft for Blue Otter, but now they're instead going on to Ariandel, who pops a stopwatch after Damon goes in with the Cataclysm. A nice opportunity now for Pika Pika, lands a nice knockup, shutdown onto the mid laner, but here comes Baz on the backside. And now Apex fighting this in a 3v4. Double kill in for Decoy, and Pika Pika is low. Baz will clean up the fight, and Blue Water now have to run for the hills. Izo and Zev still up and running, but there's not a good chance to kill anybody on the opposition. Izo landing a body slam to try and buy some time, but he will go down to Baz for his second kill of the game. And Zev will also drop to Decoy. It is an ace for Apex Mission Impossible, as they once again are in firm control of the game number 2.
5,000 gold, a big team fight win. We even saw Reg. She was able to clear out of the Nether Grasp from Reppy. A turret as well. Amite, they want to go further on into the lower bracket. They will be facing up against Miracle. Blue Water, unfortunately, hey, congrats to making it. Again, you did what 16 other teams couldn't do in a 32-team Swiss. That was make it here into the group stage, but unless something pretty drastic changes, we're going to be seeing them bow out without a single game win in the group stage.
Not the best look, unfortunately, but still opportunities to maybe turn this around. Zev has not died in some of these fights, has a 40 CS lead over Baz, and that could be a potential angle opportunity for Blue Water to win some fights. They're going to force a skirmish around this Rift Herald. Pockets lands a big Tibbers, though, coming out from Ariandel. And Pika Pika just gets one shot. Now Decoy coming in onto Izo. The boomerang toss will yield the second kill for his team. Reppy in a bad spot now. Silence lands onto 3, but Baz is at red-white going to try to fight. Damon gets 1 kill on the backside, but Reppy will go down. It is a 3-for-1 and soon to be 4. Damon in trouble, throws out the Cataclysm and the flag and drag, but will not get a single kill onto Reg. The Rengar will still survive as 4 drop on Blue Water.
All right, guys, this Duskblade item is really ridiculous. The fact that he became untargetable to structures meant that maybe, just maybe, the Blade Caller from Zai could have found that kill. Item says, nope, you're not going to be able to do that. Find some damage onto Pacus. Even trying to make this play, Pika.
Yeah, Pika Pika. Underestimated the damage from Ariandel. Oh, the Rocket Belt almost taking him down. But not just yet. It is 16-5. Apex Mission Impossible up 7,500 gold.
Wow. What an insane fight. What a great series coming out from our team here. Just the fact that they're able to find all of these picks, play so dominantly as well. This was an Apex that did push Miracle, and I think that is Ariandel going to be going down. Cleanse comes out from Zev. Okay.
Nice flash away. Ariandel lives.
Cool. I mean, I was a little worried. That does take away one tool from the side of AMI, but they have other things to worry about. This massive gold lead, this Rift Tail that is still available to them. Blue Water, man, you know, again, we talked about it at the beginning, a pillar of the amateur space, being able to pick up so many cool, fresh talent. Like, yes, we've seen Zev, Izo, and Reppy before, but getting Damon, Pika Pika, being able to see some of these players have some standout moments. They, obviously, you can't always win, and the point of this is not necessarily to win, it's to be able to develop. Now, winning obviously helps you, because you get to have more and more space. Hold that now.
Nice play here onto Baz. Everybody uses their ultimates on the AD carry, and they take him down. Big shutdown onto the Xayah. Zev has an opportunity to carry this fight. Pika Pika gets one shot with a thrill of the hunt. Ariandel looking for a Tibbers, using the Proto Belt forward.
He's just
nice
jumping.
play caller out. Zev is still alive, but will not go down. Another kill goes the way of Red. She's got himself a double kill as Apex find another.
Dude, this champion is we're on Infernal map as well, so there's less bushes, and he just jumped from one side of the river to the other. What is this champion? Good turret juggling. It's going to be a mid turret. It's going to be them closing out this game sooner rather than later. 9,000, 2 minutes before the next dragon. I mean, congratulations to AMI, right? Like, can't possibly lose from this position, right? We get sarcastic cursing them.
Yeah, there's no way. We're definitely ending the stream early after 4 games. For Blue Water, Zev got a shutdown. That is big. Has 2 completed items. That's about it though. At this point, not a whole lot of other options for this squad. They are down 10,000 gold before the Baron even spawns. And Reg, man, on this Rengar is 3,000 gold up against his opposing jungler.
All right. Well, we have a couple of things. We could simply talk about how definitely AMI are going to win this game. Or we could take a look at what we're making for lunch.
This is their last game potentially here, Alec. We gotta
look. What do you want me to say,
shine a
man?
light to them.
What do you look? There goes ISO.
We
That's
can call this fight. Yeah, there's a nice timber
Okay,
coming out
go
for
for it.
Ariandel. How about that? A big fight out of Apex Mission Impossible as Baz now comes alive with a really nice opportunity. Apex Mission Impossible are going to the Baron. I will say my breakfast was kind of like a lunch hybrid because I am on the East Coast. So
yeah, fair enough. Okay.
we're gonna be waiting to dinner.
Yeah, I guess. I have not eaten today because it is now 1, so I'm going to probably run out and grab burritos. I've got a lot of great Mexican spots here in Seattle. Goodbye, Decoy.
I don't know why Decoy is here necessarily, buying some time. Chunks Demon to half, as Reppy does pick up a kill, but yeah, it's looking too good.
I just want to say that if Blue Otter come back, it is going to be off of Zev finding a massive team fight, AMI overextending, but there's no Baron for them to take at this point. So there's really not a play for them to make until then. The Dragon is going to be spawning in 10 seconds, and I don't think they're going to be there. You already see, Zev, I'm not going to be at that team fight, guys. I am going straight for this. Reg flashes to try and get Reppy. It gets Mia pinged by his team, funnily enough. Oh my god, wait, Baz, you don't know. You can't be here.
Yeah,
I was trying to look for this play.
That was really scary. Does get found out though by Pockets, lands a knock-up, a nice barrel, does send Ariandel back, but the stun up Damon to prevent him from re-engaging. ISO on the wrong side of things as the flank did not pay off. Decoy picks up the kill. It's 24-7. AMI winning all day here in this matchup. Blue Otter kind of have their backs up against their wall and backs up against the wall in the 4v5.
I covered my bases by making sure we talked about how Blue Otter could win this game. Okay, they need a big throw. They need a big, massive throw. I do not feel bad. It is 13,000 gold. There we go. That's one of them.
They got a kill.
Zev got the kill.
Zev gets one. This could be the opportunity right now for Blue Otter. Ariandel goes gold and flashes away from the potential Blade Caller. Baz has the Calibrum, can continue to rain auto attacks in on the Blue Otter. Decoy looking for a Gnar. He jumps forward but does not have the flash. Mid lane inhibitor goes down. And it was just the one kill.
Oh, teleport's coming in. Come on,
Here comes the
ISO.
teleport from ISO. Could be the last-ditch effort, but there comes the Gale Force forward. Baz says no to the attempt of Blue Otter League. Now another kill goes their way. Nice body slam, nice stun onto ISO, but he just gets one shot before any counter engage can come through. It is not good for Blue Otter. AMI gonna go and take this 2-0 victory over Blue Otter. And they'll find their way into the lower bracket qualifier matchup against Miracle, or a rematch, I should say, going to be happening next Saturday.
Oh, man. Blue Water, it was so close there at the end. I was saying, literally, like, the fight was pretty close, because Pika Pika, they had that re-engage, but they got hit with Gravitum. They couldn't actually get into that last fight. And, well, not in a similar fashion to what we got in Game 1 from these two, a pretty big win for Apex. 2-0, very dominant in both. And they have to be looking at Miracle, who do look a little bit weaker, right? They are still a team that I think still has holes in their game plan. It is someone that, if you ban out City Witty, you can look for some extra wins and potentially look to try to take this series. They already took it to 3, and it had that last game where they just weren't able to kind of crest over the City Witty kindred.
This is one of the matchups that I'm actually going to be excited to watch on Saturday as we have our 4
Mhm.
qualifiers to get the last 4 quarterfinal spots. Apex versus Miracle should be pretty interesting. I think Reg on the Rengar had a really good game. Also on the Kindred played spectacularly. And that is a matchup that I'm going to be very excited to watch. But before we close out the show, going to be taking a short break. And when we come back, we'll have an interview, hopefully, with the winner, Apex Mission Impossible. Welcome back, everybody. We're here on the LCS Challengers League stream with our interview with the winner of our lower bracket matchup, Apex Mission Impossible's jungler Reg, who just came off of a 2-0 victory over Blue Otter. Reg, congratulations on the win. I want you to run us through that game 2, the start of game number 2, the level 1. What was the game plan? What were the comms like in that situation?
Okay, here's the idea. So with Jarvan, I think for their draft, they really need to get some sort of bot lead. So like, okay, we locked in Rengar. We have a way stronger level 1. So in order to just completely negate any sort of possibility where Jarvan can just like flick off some like level 2 gank bot lane, we just invade bot and then we see what happens. I think the way it resulted was like pretty much perfect scenario, but I think even if we just place Warden and we walk out, it's still good because now it's harder to do whatever Jarvan wants to.
Yeah. I want to let you know, you guys were on ward, by the way. So they saw you guys not leave. They saw you guys enter and not leave. So they wanted to smoke.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, they sent 5. I definitely got it. Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Kill into Pika Pika.
It ended up working. You guys got the 2-0 victory. You had a very good series, and I feel like every time we see you up here in the qualifiers, end up having some pretty solid performances. I want to ask you what the road was like to forming this team with some of their teammates, because I know you've played with some of them in the past as well.
Forming the team. I mean, I think they just messaged me like 3 days prior. They're like, "Yo, you want to play?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm down."
Hell yeah. That's what amateur's about. Let's go.
Did they have everybody ready, or was it just like we want you on the team? Like we need someone.
Yeah, I was the final piece. They were looking for junglers. They're like, "Oh, are you LF?" Because I was pretty high on the ladder, and they're just like looking down at anyone who's available. And I was like, "Yeah, let's LFG, let's do it."
Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, look, we could talk a little bit about last year. Things happened in Champions Queue. We can move on from that.
Mm-hmm.
Coming now into 2023, what were your plans? Even playing. I know that you've been bouncing around some teams.
Plans playing. To be honest, I'm just looking to have fun. I mean, it's really going into pro is like sort of like super narrow right now. I think there's a couple people at the top who can make it through. So right now, I'm just sort of like having fun playing the game. You know, been playing for a while now, so we're just making the most of it before we finally grow up and get old. We have to move on. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's awesome. Hey man, not everybody wants to like go and play pro, and even the ones that do, like you can grind forever. Sometimes like there's just a really great filter, but this is a good way to make money. If you make top 8, you're getting you're getting a little bit of cash. You're feeling good.
Oh, for sure.
It's a great time.
Oh, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, I think no. Honestly, like if I outdo myself. Like, I know this season I hit 1,300 LP. So if I get, like, top 10, like,
Nice.
1,500, like, 1,600, I'll, like, seriously consider it. But right now, it's, like, more of, let's just try it, have fun, and then, that'll be it.
Yeah, see what happens. Oh, how are you feeling about the jungle right now? Because I know that there's, like, a bunch of different stuff. There's, obviously, Triforce has been, like, a nasty insect invading every single champion's build.
Yeah.
So with Kindred being super prevalent, like, how are you feeling about the jungle meta right now?
Yeah, no, I think Kindred just like Thanos right now.
Yep.
But solo queue is just so like everything is happening all at once. So like you can just go stuff like I think Jarvan is super underrated. Even though he's not like up there with like all the other meta picks, he's still relatively strong in early game strength, and he has really good like gank angles, which is why like Rek'Sai is good because on top of that, she's just generally good. So I think there's a lot of strong jungle picks, but definitely for anyone looking to climb in jungle, if you can't play Kindred, definitely abuse it while you can before it gets nerfed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see some of that Jarvan next week against Miracle. They're your rematch from last week. Did end up falling 2-1. Did take that one game off of them though. What are you looking at in terms of like adjustments or changes going against that squad for the second time?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was kind of unexpected how that sort of ended. City Witty swapping on the last game. Yeah. I think going into the game, the Kindred, I think it was we sort of needed to like revisit draft plan, which I think we spent a lot this week doing. So, and with that in mind, going into next weekend when we rematch Miracle, that's going to be the most important thing. I think our draft will, sort of highlight a lot of what's probably going to happen in the game, what team fighting and those sort of things. So I think for next week, Kindred's definitely going to be the pinpoint on both sides because that's why they like swapped City Witty, right? LGX, like I was able to like hold the candle up to him and like that was all going good. And then Kindred's open and they just swapped City and then he's good with it and then it like popped off for them. So I think in draft is going to be most important, looking out for those swaps, making sure like team fights are all good because I really do think we have it. Like we all got it. We can definitely win. But, if we do something that's like incorrect last second, that's going to be Miracle's chance to win. So all in all, I think we're in a really good spot, but we really need to focus up and not let them get these angles on us because I think truly that's the only way we can lose. Otherwise, like I'm really confident going into them.
Awesome. I was gonna say, I remember your Kha'Zix game in Game 3. You were like, "Okay, I'm doing well." You press tab, and City's like 6 marks at 7 minutes. He has like a couple of kills. You're like, "Okay, guys." Like, whoa. They have Renekton versus Silas. It's like, okay, well now what do I do as a jungler, guys? Like, we were supposed to play through mid. What do we do now?
Yeah. No, that was definitely in like an early game sort of match. Yeah, everything just happens early. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Grapes, do you have anything else? Otherwise, I was going to leave the floor open here for our guest.
Yeah. If you have any shout outs here, Reg, throw them out. The time is yours before we close out the stream for the day.
Okay. I've been streaming a lot, twitch.tv/Regidice. I'm kind of chill, hectic, tossing shit out, going in the solo queue, grinding for fun nowadays. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and look forward to our rematch next week with Miracle.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Are you streaming after today? Are you streaming today?
I've been doing daily, but I have some plans I made, so I won't be streaming, unfortunately.
Okay.
Definitely tomorrow.
You're
Definitely
on the
tomorrow.
stream.
All
You're
right,
on the
all
stream
right.
with a 2-0 dub. That's enough. That's enough for us now. So thank you very much to Reggie. Best of luck next week. And that's going to do it for us here on the LCS Challengers League qualifier streams. Reminder that we'll be back next week on twitch.tv/RallyCryOfficial and RallyCry 2. We got the last qualifiers into the quarterfinals, and then the quarterfinals happening on Sunday. So a lot of important games. Not going to miss any of that. Alk Battery, thank you so much for joining. Shout out to production on RallyCry as well as Turo, our presenting sponsor. And with that, we're going to say so long, and we'll see you next week.